in journalism and mass communication with a focus on new media. Dr. Jose brings over 15 years of teaching experience and 15 years of industry experience, making her well versed in both academic and practical aspects of communication and media studies. Now, I would like to introduce co-chair of this section, Dr. Chandrakala Gulani, who is assistant professor at Amity Institute of Social Sciences, Amity University, Uttar Pradesh, Noida. Dr. Chandrakala is a senior assistant professor. She was appointed as a research advisor to complete a research project funded by the National Commission for Women, Government of India. She recently been awarded with a grant by the Indian Council of Philosophical Studies, Government of India, to conduct a research on philosophy of religion. Her research interests include geographic social work, mental health, social psychology, child and women rights, and many more. She is the executive committee member of Active Consortium for Asia Pacific and India. So please, I'll hand over the responsibility to the chair and co-chair to please invite our honorable invited speaker, Dr. S. Gregory.
Morning. We really look forward to fruitful session on the second day of this conference, which is really an interdisciplinary. And I was going through from all the schedules. It's a very beautiful one. And our invited talk, the guest for the day is Professor S. Gregory, Member Secretary, United Indian Anthropology Forum, and former Dean, Faculty of Social Sciences, former Chairperson, Department of Anthropology, Kannur University, Kerala. Professor S. Gregory is a member of the United Indian Anthropology Forum. He has held prestigious positions such as the former Dean of the Faculty of Social Sciences and the former Chairperson of the Department of Anthropology at Kannur University in Kerala. He retired as the Director of the School of Distance Education, along with an additional role as the Director of HRDC at Kannur University in Kerala. He is a recipient of the Fulbright Nehru Visiting Lecture Fellowship. Professor Gregory has also taught at the University of Chicago. During this time, he also received 2 occasional lecture funds from the Institute of International Education, CIES, Washington, D.C., and delivered lectures at several U.S. universities, including George Washington University, Boston University, and California State University, Los Angeles. And he organized a panel at the 17th IUAES World Congress held at the University of Manchester. Professor Gregory has also hosted numerous seminars and conferences, including the 10th INCEA Anthropology Congress. With over 60 publications and 5 books to his name, Professor Gregory's research focuses on sustainable development, participatory research, and decentralized planning. So we are very happy to welcome you, sir, on behalf of this conference, Amity University. We wholeheartedly welcome. Welcome, sir.
Can I request Dr. Jyotika to please stop sharing her screen? Condition where the screen is not shared. Sorry. It's okay now.
Very good morning. the chair and co-chair, and my dear friends. It's unfortunate that we have very few people here to present the paper, but nevertheless, I would like to present this paper, which is on is subcategorization of yeah.
सर कुछ मीटिंग पे भी जानी चाहिए ना ऑनलाइन हम जूम मीटिंग मैं कह रहा हूं हां दिस इज फाइन मेरे को राइट ये आप शेयर कर दीजिए ओके हां अभी हो रहा है उन्होंने शायद एग्जिट कर दिया नहीं सर अभी नहीं होगा वो हां करो बस बड़ा कर लो ओके बड़ा
we have online people also. So the focus of my presentation is on, I'm sure that we are all familiar with the recent Supreme Court judgment with regard to subcategorization of the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. So I am looking into whether this is a viable alternative and putting forth a view that need a reorient and rationalize affirmative action for ensuring excellence, equity, and social justice. I know that, the time is very short, but if you start talking about this particular topic, the significance of the topic is very important, particularly in today's time. Now, when we talk of affirmative action, we use different terms like reservation, positive discrimination, or protective discrimination, preferential treatment, etc. And it is practiced not only in India, it is practiced in many countries in different forms. And it is a legal provision in favor of the disadvantaged groups in their respective societies. We know that first article of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights says, all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. Reflecting this particular spirit of the Universal Declaration, the Indian Constitution has adopted a policy of affirmative action in the form of reservation towards weaker sections in areas of education, employment, and political representation. And it is reflected in different articles like 15, Article 16, Article 17, 46, and 335, with a view to correct the historical injustice done to certain communities. For example, I don't want to go into the details of these articles because it will take time. Now, Article 15 prohibits discrimination on grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, and place of birth. And it has several subclasses. And most of these classes have been added to the Constitution in the process of amendments, constitutional amendments. Article 16 concerns the equality of opportunity in matters of public employment. Article 17, abolition of untouchability. Article 46, as part of the directive principles of the state policy, it addresses the states to promote the educational and economic interests of the weaker sections of the people, especially the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, and protect these groups from social injustice and exploitation. Again, Article 335 emphasizes on the maintenance of efficiency of administration with special provision for relaxation in qualifying marks, etc. Now, initially the Constitution of India provided reservation only for quota in legislature, that too only for 10 years until 1960. Some of the constitutional provisions were amended by the First Amendment as a sequel to the judicial pronouncements. Subsequent amendments to the Constitution extended the period of reservation for quota in legislatures. The power to introduce the amendments is with the Parliament, executive. exercising its power of supremacy, while it is left to the Supreme Court to perform the simultaneous role of interpreting and evaluating them judiciously, and to limit these powers to declare the arbitrary and flawed amendments unconstitutional. The provisions of reservations in education institutions and government jobs in Article 15, Class 4 and 16, Class 5, respectively, were created by means of constitutional amendments, later without specifying the time period is given, without specifying the time period as its validity. Again, the initial reservations only for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. In 1991, the OBCs, referred as socially and educationally backward classes, were included in the ambit of reservation in education and in employment. In 2019, the economically weaker sections have also been included. Article 15, Class 6 and Article 16, Class 6. Now, as of now, we have the reservation category like ST 7.5%, SC 15%, OBC 27%, and EWS, economically weaker sections, 10. So total it comes to about 59.5. So nearly 60% of the seats are reserved. Reservation of quota in education, in employment, and in the House of Representation. In jobs, reservation not only in direct recruitment, but also in promotion. There is no concept of creamy layer for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes reservation. In addition, there is relaxation in upper age limit, lower cutoff marks for qualification. The reserved categories are open to compete for general seats as well. And there are other methods like providing scholarships, funds, coaching, and other welfare schemes. Now, the contention of reservation is every policy initiative, when done, expanding the scope of reservation, these were met with sharp resistance, public protest, and violent agitations. The main contention is the quota system would kill merit and hamper competitiveness. The quality will suffer, mainly, for example, in the medical profession. And they ask, are quotas possible in judiciary and armed forces? Can we have president, prime minister, ministers, and judges on the basis of quotas? It would deprive the opportunities of other meritorious ones, and it will also lead to brain drain. And another argument put forth is it benefits only the creamy among the reserved. Will the creamy layer of OBC, for example, allow the real OBC to benefit? So these are some of the questions that are put forth. And they also raise the question, social upliftment. Sorry, I got bad throat. So can I have some water? Do we want social upliftment or unscientific reservation? It's a question put forth by them. If reservation, it should be, the argument is, it should be purely on economic basis. And they say caste-based reservation would only encourage caste divisions. It is more of vote bank politics. One of the solutions suggested, introduce creamy layer, keep a time frame, make caste-based census a regular affair, introduce efficient education system from primary to higher education. For example, we see, in spite of reservations, there are 0 admissions in IIT for Dalit quota. So the question is social upliftment or unscientific reservation. Give scholarship, ensure quality education, and go for remedial measures. Those who argue for reservations they say you visit the villages to understand the hatred. Visit a municipal school to know the quality of education they impart. So merit, it's not a natural phenomena, but shaped by social circumstances and training. Merit is adjudged and determined in an unjust social system that perpetuates denial of opportunities to the already disadvantaged. In a caste-ridden, polity and hierarchical society, it's only natural to find out some ways and means of affirmative action to provide social justice and economic opportunities to all those who were suffering from that. So deprived of the same due to the socio-cultural backwardness, economic deprivation, regional or gender-based disparities, though it is not fault of their own. In the new economic era, they also argue the corporate sector too should become a partner of central and state governments for a stable and sustainable society. To bring about socio-economic transformation in society, it is not the task of the state alone, with others being silent spectators. The responsibility has to be shared by civil society and the affluent class, including the captains of the industry. They also question the claim of underperformance of the recruits under reservation. It is not true. If you look at, for example, the reservation system that is followed in Tamil Nadu and Kerala, southern states, they perform very well overall. So it does not really bring low in merit and quality. So the justification for reservation is one of the approaches of affirmative action. It ensures distribution of limited opportunities. That's the whole problem. Why do we have reservation? Because we have limited opportunities. So if you want to get rid of reservation, we need to increase the opportunities. So that is another alternative which we need to work out. It is justified in terms of equity and social justice and on the principle of protective or positive discrimination. Elimination is bound to happen in any selection process involving limited opportunities. Reservation does eliminate some who might otherwise qualify the selection process. Elimination is a reality even among the reserved. Assuming that the selection process is foolproof, merit could suffer. But in reality, neither the selection process is foolproof, nor merit is absolute. Hence, reservation per se could hardly be challenged just on the basis of quality alone and on the ground of compromising with the efficiency, unless there is conclusive proof to substantiate otherwise. After all, every individual is equally equipped with similar potential. And so, given the right opportunities, motivation, and the development of right aptitude in the given domain and within a certain range, anyone should perform equally well. But should there not be a borderline within a range? And if so, where should it be drawn? If access to better opportunities is believed to operate favorably in the case of general category of candidates, and hence a justification for reservation, could not the same be attributed to the better off within the reserved categories? For instance, whether it can be justified to reject someone who might be the first generation aspirant and who might hail from a poor socioeconomic background in favor of another who might be a third generation aspirant and with a better socioeconomic background, just because the latter has a slightly better score over the former within the reserved category. Similarly, whether it can be justified, just in the name of reservation, to reject or deny an opportunity for a first generation general category aspirant with a poor socioeconomic background, but with a high qualification and extra work experience, and sometimes even at the verge of crossing the age limit. So that is another limitation we have, age limit. So if the person crosses the age limit, they will get no opportunity at all. In favor of another from the reserved category with a poor scoring young in age, belonging to the third generation employment, and with a better socioeconomic background. So these are some of the basic questions that is raised. How could merit be maintained without compromising on natural justice? Whether there could be better ways of selection involving social and subject aptitude, whether it is in the field of education or in employment. Whether there are any better ways of ensuring social justice and equity without compromising on the question of quality and excellence. The question is whether the ones who get the opportunity are the ones who are the most deserving by all criteria. So that is the question we need to address. So the Supreme Court judgment, it is of India's ruling in the case of state of Punjab versus Devinder Singh, considered as a landmark decision that allowed the state government sub-classification of SCs and STs for quota benefits. The key points: sub-classification is for the benefit of the most disadvantaged. Sub-classification should be based on empirical data that shows levels of backwardness and representation in state services. Sub-classification is subject to judicial review. Sub-classification should not be for political appeasement, but for genuine upliftment. Sub-classification does not mean 100% reservation. The implications of the verdict: the states now have the constitutional backing to enact laws and policies for subclassifying the SCs and STs. The decision aims to rectify the imbalance. It poses practical challenges, including determining the criteria for subclasses and ensuring transparency. It could trigger debates and legal challenges regarding the criteria and the processes used for subclassification. So it is a new precedent in the realm of reservation policies. What is needed is, we all know that there is a divide between the haves and the have-nots. It is as much true within the scheduled category as it is between the reserved category and the non-reserved category. The question is how to strike a balance between the equity and excellence. How to accommodate the vast differences in the social handicap and to incorporate economic handicap within social justice, upholding the spirit of the Constitution. The Supreme Court verdict brings a significant change in the approach, while its viability needs to be scrutinized. The main question is to what extent one could go for subclassification. See, when you subclassify, again there will be voices to claim for benefits. So you can, there is no end. Ultimately, it will end in the individual. So to what extent we can go on subclassifying? And what about the vast individual variation even within a particular caste community? So the ultimate aim should be to reorient the affirmative action itself to allow it to operate without any barriers of caste boundaries coming in the way, but at the same time ensuring equality and social justice with quality and excellence. Treat the social handicaps as well as the economic handicaps. Hence, what is desirable is that the spirit of the affirmative action is rightly internalized and a progressive policy is adopted, whereby the reservation approach gradually gives way to alternative approaches with adequate scope for the upliftment of the truly weaker sections in the society. So that requires a need for rationalizing the approach from a humanistic, holistic, and social justice perspective with a gradational framework. Not just, when you talk of creamy layer, what happens? Just it is a line. If a small change below or up will change the entire scenario. So creamy layer is not a real solution at all. So we need a gradational framework rather than a single line division of creamy layer. Also taking the aptitudinal element, including academic aptitude, vocational aptitude, and social aptitude. So what I propose is a single window screening system, incorporating the socioeconomic factors and the aptitudinal factors and getting rid of the quota system. Now, if you see the single, what I envisage in a single window screening system is you need to take into consideration the parental education achievement. You need to take into consideration the parental employment level index. You need to take into consideration the parental employment generation. So I have graded employment and parental education achievement as if the parents are below SSLC, you give a weightage. Up to pre-degree or higher secondary, up to graduation, up to PG, basic professional degree, higher professional degrees. And so we have 5 categories from 0 to 4. So when you talk of parent, father as well as mother, so 4 into 2, 8. You need 8 variations there itself. Similarly, employment, father and mother, unemployed, 0, class 4, 1, class 3, 2, class 2, 3, and class 1, 4 points. So 8 points. So 8 plus 8, 16 points. Then parental employment generation index. If the parents are not employed, 0. If they are first generation employed, 1, you give 2 points. If it is second generation, 4 points. And above second generation, it's 4 points you give. So you have these 3 important criteria: educational and parental, education, parental employment, and parental employment generation. So you have 24 points. So already you are categorizing them into 24. The gradation is 24, not just 2. Then, so that will provide the cumulative social index. All you add together, cumulative social index. Then you come to the economic part, economic assessment index. What you take the NPCFI, what I mean, normalized per capita family income. So you take the family income and divide by the family size, which is normalized family size. So normalized family size is if you take the age factor of 5 families, maybe small children will be there, aged people will be there. You add all the ages and divide by the average mean age of the nation. Now we see it about, we say median age is 28.8 or 31 point something. So it's just, for example, 30. You divide by 30. So maybe 5 family members, it may give the normalized family size maybe 4 or 3. There may be 2 members, but it may give 3 family size. So you divide the family income by the normalized family size, you will get the per capita family income. And PCSDP is per capita national income or state income. So you take the percentage of family income, per capita family income divided by the national income, you will get the economic assessment index. Now, economic assessment index. Now, social weightage. What weightage you will give? Social weightage you can give, for example, the handicaps that the scheduled castes have or the OBC have. It is 4:2:1. You give a weightage of 4 for scheduled caste and weightage of 2 for OBC, and general category is 0. So when you take 24, for example, the weightage will be, you give 24 weightage for SC/ST, you give 12 weightage for OBC, and you give 6 weightage for the general category. Social weightage. The economic weightage, what you give the economic index, that 160 minus the economic, you have economic assessment index. So 160 minus economic assessment index divided by 10, where the range of EAA is kept between 40%. Suppose the family income is 40% of the national income or below. You take it as the lowest. So they will get the whole full weightage point.
Excuse me, sir. Would you now conclude, please?
Yeah.
Because we have loads of presenters.
Yeah, I know.
I'm sorry to say, because your presentation is awesome, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just, finish within a few minutes. So you see the economic weightage is, it is ranging between 40% and 150% and above. So a person may have average family, per capita family income as compared to the national income, maybe multiple times. So we just give 150% as the highest, and above, they will get zero weightage. But a person who has 40% or below will have the full weightage. So the academic achievement index is, I mean, you don't take just the academic performance or you have entrance exam, for example, in medical and engineering, etc. So there should be a weightage given to each. Academic performance should be given a weightage, and the entry point should be given a weightage, and the aptitude, social aptitude should be given a weightage. So what I have said, the academic should be 40%, and entry point, whatever, whether it is job or for education, 40%, and 20% social aptitude. So you'll get the socioeconomic score value point and qualifying score value points. You have both these, qualifying score value point and socioeconomic value point, and you add both these, you'll get cumulative score value point, and you put it in single windows. So you'll get the, I mean, whoever is handicapped, they'll get the weightage along with their performance, they will be ranked. So you'll get single window system. It takes into consideration the economic handicaps, social handicaps, everything. So you need not have a quota system, but you can introduce this. I was just given an example, for example, for SCST, the lowest,
Hello, good morning, everybody. Could I please join the presentation since it's my timing now to present my paper?
We will update you soon.
Okay, sure.
Yes, ma'am.
So I am waiting, right?
Yes.
The written word. We think that the written word is extremely sacrosanct. It's pure. Why? Because it's apparently telling us the truth. All right. Let's go back to our lessons in enlightenment and the germination of disciplines in social sciences like sociology and anthropology. That apparently told us that, the idea of the truth is a bigger project. But in that process, I think, sometimes we forget the fact that there are many other representations that have happened. All right. And I think it's very essential to think about it. I was pitching a case, or I am pitching a case, which says that within academia, do we really want to also consider many other forms of engagement, which are texts that are illustration based, that have graphics in it, right? That are actually beautifully, and when I say beautifully, I'm not saying just the beauty in terms of the skin color or tone, but just beautifully in terms of very much the Clifford Geertz version of the description, which is more intense illustrations of communities.
So I recently, a couple of weeks back, I happened to stumble upon a very fascinating book by Ektara Trust, which is called Lady Tarzan. Okay. Now, do we know? Does anybody know about Lady Tarzan? Lady Tarzan is actually the story of the Padma Shri awardee Jamuna Tudu. Now, Jamuna Tudu is a Santhali woman. Okay. And I don't know if anybody has been to a Santhal village. I have been to one. And I never read any narratives that are there about the Santhalis in adequate ways. I think during the Commonwealth game, it would be interesting to say this here, is during the Commonwealth game, actually, we were, can I know the time? Okay. During the Commonwealth Games, there was an entire discussion about dirt and cleanliness and unclean, how Indians are unclean. But Times at that particular point in time picked up an article on the Santhalis and said, have you ever been to a Santhali village? I'm lucky I have been to one. Their roads, their houses, their utensils look like they're, absolutely new. So their idea of cleanliness is very much there. Now, this book, Lady Tarzan, talks about the journey of Jamuna, and she's somebody who's fighting the timber mafia and saving the forests in Jharkhand. There's another book that's written by Kamala Bhasin, which is called Dhamak Dham, which talks about gender justice through different forms of parenting. I think it's something that we have to now think about is, and I would say this is, of whether we would include such texts that are serious enough to be in our reference or recommended list. We use or share our students, or that we would definitely make it a point to have it in our bibliography. And why are we asking this question? Because what is actually also happening is a certain process of perhaps asking ourselves a question that, are we creating new hegemonies? Are we telling people what is the right and wrong, but, are coming up with things that are still very, very ill-equipped? Why is it that ChatGPT gives us such a skewed narrative of an indigenous tribal woman? And mind you, that it's giving that because it's the algorithm that we are also creating of what we are accessing, what we are writing, and it's picking that up and giving it to us, which is again a narrative that is so skewed, so shallow. So what is the need of the hour is something that is graphically, visually, adequately documenting the indigenous community. What is the consequence, which is the last bit and something that we should be really alert about, that when these skewed algorithms come up, let's say, for example, a large bunch of, and this is across India, and especially maybe in the northern part of India, a lot of students from, especially women from the Northeast, when they come here, especially because they have Mongoloid features, and very much anthropology is teaching us, forensics is teaching us, have Mongoloid features, so we very unproblematically call them Chinky. The moment we call them Chinky, the next thing that we are making a commentary about is how characterless they are. Now, if the algorithms are working like this, we need graphical narratives that teach us, what the journey has been of different indigenous communities. Because when we create that algorithm that is so skewed, it is making lives of so many women and men, and those who are perhaps gender minority, last slide, is also ensuring that life for them in terms of access to education, access to housing, access to employment becomes very, very problematic. So it's time to create narratives that are adequate, that are visually well documented, and that make a case in favor of the indigenous and not having something that's skewed and incomplete. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Panotti. The context you have highlighted on the graphic narrative, there is a requirement for that. Further questions, we'll be taking it up at the end of this presentation. I would call upon the next presenter, Ms. Deepika Kumari Meena, a research scholar, Department of Humanities and Social Sciences, IIT, Gandhinagar, Gujarat. The topic is researchers' positionality in between as an insider and outsider. So welcome.
Excuse me. Now I can share my PPT. I already made.
You got a PPT?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Can you share? Yeah.
Excuse me, with due regards, ma'am, I would like to state something. I missed my turn due to the technical glitches. I was asked to wait. This is Jyotika Jakhar.
We'll
My
take you
turn
after
was
this
at
one, ma'am.
10:55.
I will take you after this one.
Okay, after the present one, the one that will take place
Yes,
now.
yes.
Thank you.
The presenters start with your introduction, move on to your methodology, theory, and data, and the conclusion.
Good morning, everyone. When I applied for this conference, I didn't complete my PhD, so that time it was Miss Deepika. Now I am Dr. Deepika. This month only I completed my PhD. So, thank you.
It's not a PPT, right?
It's a PPT. I can talk without PPT also. That's fine. Yeah. So my PhD fieldwork was located in the Pratapgarh district. It is in the Rajasthan. And in my PhD fieldwork, I worked with the tribal girls in Pratapgarh districts who were in the colleges doing the higher education. So in Pratapgarh, over 12% population belong to the scheduled tribe and not 70% belong to the scheduled caste. And there is some main tribal groups is Meena, Saharia, Garasya. And I'm also coming from one of the main tribal groups in Rajasthan. It's Meena. Pratapgarh, it's granted an independent district status in 2008. Before that, it was a part of the other district like Chittorgarh, Udaipur, Banswara. It is a tribal district. More than 70% populations belongs from the tribal category. My work mostly focus on the colleges and the tribal girls hostel in the district. So here is the map of the Rajasthan and Pratapgarh, and we can get an idea of the my field site where it is located. Pratapgarh, it is in the southern part of the Rajasthan. It's a tribal belt of the Rajasthan. So I did around 10 months long field work. I stayed there. I'm also coming from the same state also, but from the different districts. So how during the field work, my position was changing continuously. From this quote, you can get an idea, like when I went for the field work and I was meeting to the authorities for getting permission to stay in the hostel, to conduct field work in the colleges. So when they got to know about my identity, like I'm also from the same community, they were like, yeah, you belong to the community, you don't have to even need a permission, you can start a field work, you just have to inform us. And it's not limited here only. When I went to the hospitals, colleges, and I went to even the police officers also to get to know about the crime situation there, how they are dealing with the students, especially the tribal students. When the case was coming, they first thing they told me is like, why you are coming so late? You are already here since last 2-3 months and you are coming here. If you are meeting to us early, we could provide you more opportunity, we could help you more in conducting the field work. So this is showing that how my social identity is playing a very important role in helping me to conduct the field work. With that, my gender identity is also very important. So in a starting, getting in the entry, my tribal identity was playing a very important role. But with my only tribal identity, I was not able to connect with my participant to whom I am planning to stay and build a strong relationship. So where my gender identity is also playing a very important role, because when I am staying in the girls hostel, I stayed there for around 4 months. 4 months during my fieldwork, I was going with them their home also. So how their family member is also treating is based on my gender identity and my social identity. On first place, they were saying that, okay, you don't look like from our community. So it is also like when the sir presented, like I'm a second generation learner, my parents are in the job. So how the categories are divided within the tribal community also. They were like, okay, but when I was telling them, okay, I did my schooling also from same district, I am from the same community, over the time they were feeling comfortable with me after 2 and 3 visits. But this is also very important that once they got to know about my identity, they were more comfortable with me. They were sharing openly their stories with me. They were saying कि okay, आप तो हमारे ही लोग हो, तो आप यहाँ रह सकते हो, आप फील्ड वर्क कंडक्ट कर सकते हो और आप हमारी बेटियों को कुछ अच्छा ही सिखाओगे. So how it is very important for me also to tell them on the first place that I am from the same community. But slowly and apart from that, my state of origin also, when I was telling them, okay, I'm from the same community, but from the same state, but from different district, because in Rajasthan, tribes are also divided into the 3 categories. STs are into 3 categories. It's like Chokidar Meena, Jamidar Meena, and Bhil Meenas. Chokidar are the higher category, then Zamidar are the higher category, Chokidar, and then this Bhil Meenas, where I conduct my field work. I am coming from the Chokidar Meena. So they were like, okay, you are near to us in the hierarchy. So they were more connected with me. And it was not only limited to my participant and their families or the officers who are from the same community, but it is same with my landlords also. With them, I stayed for around 9 months. They are from the different community, but based on my gender identity and what kind of work I am doing there, they were more connected with me. They were even saying that she is like our daughter. Whenever I was visiting their relatives and their friends during my fieldwork, yeah, it is my findings only, like my experience, how my position is changing. So I will come on that. So earlier I explained like when the same community, because of the same community, they were connected with me. Now my position is changing. Now they are also including me in their family activities. They are treating me like their own daughter, although our social identity is different. But based on my state of origin, like I'm from the same state and what kind of work I am doing there, they were more connected with me. But at the same time, I was an outsider for the non-tribal people. Non-tribal people are less in population there, but they were like in more higher jobs, socially and economically they are doing better. So they were not like I was an outsider for them, but based on my class identity, I was an insider for them. They were like, okay, you are from the tribal community, but you are doing a PhD from IIT and your parents are also in the government job. So in the class hierarchy, you are equal to us. So they were treating me differently as the way they were treating the other tribal students who are from the Pratapgarh districts, who were staying in their home as a rented accommodations. They were like कि ये लड़कियां तो यहाँ सिर्फ टाइम पास करने के लिए आई हैं, इनको जॉब तो करनी नहीं है, घर वालों के पैसे बर्बाद करने. Because live-in relationship is also very prominent in my field side. So they were like कि हाँ, but आप तो अलग हैं, आप तो हम लोगों के जैसे हैं, आपको पता है कि बाहर जाके कैसे रहते हैं. So over the 9 months of my fieldwork, my position was continuously changing. Even now also, I couldn't find a specific position. For some of them, I was an outsider. For some of them, I'm an insider. And that is also changing with the place and what kind of talk I'm doing with them, where I'm going with them. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Deepika. Your insider, your experience of the narration. We move on to the next presenter, which is going to be from online hereafter. Ms. Jyotika Jathar is available online.
Yes, ma'am, I'm there. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I just presented my paper.
Ms. Jyotika Jathar.
Yes, ma'am, I'm there.
Scholar, Goenka University.
Yes, I am there, ma'am. I'll just present my paper.
Is Beyond Surface Exploring Politics in Children's Literature.
Yes, ma'am.
Welcome, Ms. Jyotika.
Excuse me, this is Samidha from Sikkim University. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, Ms. Samita, please be online.
Yeah.
Ms. Jyotika. Yeah.
May I begin, ma'am, with your permission?
Ms. Jyotika, please carry on. We can
Uh,
use your topic. Yes, your, I think PPT is visible for us. Done.
is my presentation visible?
Yes, it is visible.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Greetings to all. I'm Jyotika Jakar. I'm PhD scholar at GT Goenka University, and today I'm going to present my paper on body surface, exploring politics in children's literature. I'll just give you a brief background about my children, about the work that I'm doing right now. Now, children's literature often conceals complex realities within its playful narratives. By examining body politics in children's literature, we can uncover hidden messages, challenges, dominant narratives, and promote inclusive attitudes. Now, a lot of the children's literature that we go through, that is folk tales, or it can be lullabies, nursery rhymes. All these play a very important role here. Now, for example, folktales and indigenous lore from diverse cultures highlight inner strength, leadership potential, and ancestral connections. These stories challenge dominant Western narratives and offer alternative perspectives on body politics. I've already given you the example of Cherokee tales and Chinese fables, Maori legends, where they etch tattoos as maps of ancestral connection and resilience. Moving on to colonial legacies and shifting power, I'll just give you here how these legacies have shaped children's literature, perpetuating stereotypes and marginalizing diverse voices. For example, Rudyard Kipling's Jungle Book perpetuates Oriental stereotypes, while Chinamananda Ngozi Adichie's works restores agency and festivity to diverse body norms. Moving on further, I'll be talking about cultural expressions and how they are celebrated. Cultural expressions through stories promote embodied literacies and challenge dominant narratives. By celebrating diverse cultural expressions, we can foster inclusive attitudes and appreciation for diverse body norms. We can also look at the nursery rhymes, how we can unmask body politics there. Nursery rhymes reflect evolving societal norms and expectations related to gender and bodies. For example, Mary Had a Little Lamb and Rockabye Baby reflect traditional gender roles and expectations. Moving further, looking at fairy tales as cultural mirrored glass. Fairy tales whisper stories of societal anxieties and aspirations, offering insights into body politics. By examining these tales, we can understand how they shape and reflect cultural attitudes towards bodies. For example, The Ugly Duckling and Beauty and the Beast reflect societal beauty standards and expectations. Now, looking at the contemporary metamorphosis, contemporary stories empower children to challenge expectations and celebrate their strength and identities. These stories promote positive body image and self acceptance, challenging dominant narratives and fostering inclusive attitudes. Moving on, deconstructing beauty standards. Intersectional lenses challenge colonial constructs and Eurocentric beauty ideals, promoting diverse representations and inclusive attitudes. By deconstructing beauty standards, we can promote body positivity and self acceptance, cultural context, and embodied literacies. Body politics varies across different cultures.
Your methodology, data, and findings.
Yes, ma'am. So, sorry, ma'am.
Move on to your methodology, data, and the findings.
Ma'am, this is something that I am talking about, the paper. The paper that I have written, ma'am.
So, give the section by section gist of the paper.
Yes, ma'am.
Go to the paper's methodology, your findings.
So I'm working on that, ma'am. I'm just coming to that. These are the findings that I'm stating right now, ma'am.
So you need to wind up in next 2 minutes.
Yes, ma'am, I will be able to do that. I have only 8 slides. So body politics varies across cultures. By understanding these contexts, we can facilitate embodied literacies and promote inclusive attitudes. For example, Japanese folk tales, indigenous Australian narratives, highlighting the importance of cultural context and understanding body politics. Moving on, to graphic novels and body politics. They provide a unique platform for exploring body politics, promoting inclusive attitudes and empathy. Graphic novels like Moonstruck and Nimona explore complex issues like body dysmorphia and transness, thus challenging dominant narratives. Talking about embodiment and ancestral connections, Indigenous Australian storytelling highlights an intrinsic connection between body, land, and ancestors. By recognizing ancestral connections, we can foster a deep appreciation for diverse cultural expressions and body norms. Visual metaphors and playful transgressions. Picture books like All Bodies Are Beautiful and Hair Love use vibrant illustrations, playful language, and relatable characters to challenge traditional beauty standards and celebrate diverse body types. The books celebrate the uniqueness of each individual, promoting self acceptance and self love. Looking at neurosciences and embodied reader, understanding neural mechanisms can also assist in composing a curriculum and curating literature that sustains positive body image and fosters inclusive attitudes. Reimagining future and cyborg bodies. Science fiction like Psyche by Neil Shusterman challenges readers to think about assumptions about bodies and identities. By reimagining future and cyborg bodies, we can promote inclusive attitudes and challenge dominant narratives.
It's got disconnected, I guess. Dr. Tarun, I think she got disconnected. Can you please check somebody? It's done. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Miss Jyotika. I think we cannot hear you. Are you there now? Hello. Okay. We'll move on to the next presenter as there's a shortage of time.
Now we have next presenter, Dr. Samida Vedabala, Assistant Professor, Department of Music, Sikkim University, Gangtok, Sikkim. Her topic is to do with music and healing, an anthropological perspective on therapeutic music practices in Sikkim. And I'm so glad to have you here. Please, over to you.
Yeah. Good morning. Hope my presentation is, you can see my presentation.
Yes, we can see you. We can see the presentation, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll just,
Presenters, please note down. We are sorry to ask you to cut your time down. Give a paper introduction, move on to the central focus like the methodology, you have the data, so the findings and the conclusion. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. So I'll just, since you have my presentation, I think. Yeah. So, okay, just a second. Yeah. So I'll just try to be very concise. It's like it's just an introduction that you all know about the Northeast India. Sikkim is one of the smallest and beautiful state of the state. And anthropologically, or we can say there are many mostly important communities are the Nepali, Bhutia, and Lepcha, and there are many other major other ethnic communities in the state like Subba, Rai, Sherpa, Tamang, and everything. So all these, interestingly, all these have this healing practices linked to their rituals in their traditions. So in this is actually one of my scholar, and we are working on this. So I can say this is the methodology of this research is the absolutely ethnographic research, where we are practically being with the shamans in the that is I need to tell that the shamans are the ritual, those who do the rituals, and those are the practitioners of this practice. So this is the methodology that we are working with, I mean, literally we are staying with them for months and trying to collect, being the participatory observatory experiences from them. So in that way, mostly our topic is, I mean, my research scholar topic is the drumming practices in the music in the shamanistic traditions of Sikkim and Darjeeling Hills. So I am just focusing on the Sikkim. So in each, almost in there, we can just divide our two communities, mostly three.
So PPT has to move along with your, just focus on the finding.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. I'm just talking about found, because I have told about methodology. Now I am talking about the findings. So in Lepcha, Bhutia, and Lepra, there are different. So in the shamanistic traditions, that what we have found is that because music has a transformative power of the sound that is very important in these methods, along with the other, because if you imagine the situation, there are mantras and that going on, along with the beatings, and some trumpets are played, and that because of the music has the powers that takes the altered state of consciousness, it takes to the emotional catharsis, psychological benefits, and community bonding. So these all these things in Buddhist, if we talk in Buddhist, the shamanistic tradition is a little bit different, but the musical instrument is there are a variety of instruments. There's very little time to say about this. There are varieties of it, and Buddhist is more dependent on more ways is the meditation. And Nepalis in there also they have this shamanistic traditions where all so music plays a very important role, because it have this power of healing at the same time, along with the traditional medicines, because it has the trance power to making people into the trance. So and now since I have to conclude, I am concluding saying that these traditions are great, and still it is going on, but still it has some regions that fading these traditions is like advancements in the medical facilities, changing belief systems, cultural shifts, lack of standardization, and perceived modern social status. So these are the things, but still this is very small time to say everything, but still the thing is that if you did research, this is a important part of this. And in contextually, I just want to say, being it's an anthropological seminar, so in this regards, we can study our previous Vice Chancellor, Professor T.B. Supa's paper, being an assistant to a summons there. It's all about this anthropological aspect of this healing and shamanism. Thank you so much. I tried I could not say anything, but still I am important is to maintain in the time. Thank you so much. If you have anything to say.
Yes, Samida, I really like your topic, music and healing. I suggest you to really go and delve into detail, because Buddhism has a lot of things to do with music and healing.
Yes,
and myself, coming from Sikkim, where I was born and brought up halfway, so you can really delve into detail. I think you have not submerged yourself into findings and all. That's why you are having difficulty in explaining.
Yes,
can
maybe,
understand, maybe paucity of time and all on your side. So my suggestion is to delve into detail, and you'll get to uncover really a nice, facts. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now, we have next presentation from Ms. KVKB I. Nakro. She's a research scholar from Department of Anthropology, Nagaland University, Lumami, Nagaland. Her topic is preserving the legacy of cultural landscape, a study of traditional knowledge and human impact in Jotsoma village, Nagaland. Over to you, KV.
Yes, so sorry.
Maybe since we are running out of time, you have 3 minutes to do your deliberation.
Yes, is my screen visible?
Yeah, it's visible. Please go ahead. All the best.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Respected chairperson, co-chair, organizing team, and all other presenters. Today, I am delighted to talk about the concept of culturescapes, which is a unique way to understand the intertwined relationship between nature and human culture. To begin with, just a brief introduction on what is culturescapes. Culturescapes are patterns of culture which are imprinted on the land, and these are results of human and nature interactions, and they are expressed through symbols and material forms. These culturescapes are important as they serve as an imprint of human history. They reveal aspects of a place's origin and development. They also act as a driving force for the growth of cultural tourism and also provides insights for future development and cultural sustainability. For the study, these were the objectives, which was to identify and locate the different culturescapes, to document how they are formed, whether as a result of traditional beliefs or man-made, and also to study how they are changing because of human interventions, and lastly, to trace the importance of the culturescapes in the present day. For the study, Jotsoma village, which is a community of the Angami Naga tribe in Nagaland, was selected. And this place has rich culturescapes that are integral to both the community's heritage and the natural environment. The following tools were employed for the study: purposive sampling, open-ended face-to-face interviews, observation accompanied by field diaries, technological tools, and secondary data. And the sample size consisted of 14 key informants, 12 of whom were male and 2 female, and they aged between 55 to 87 years. Coming to the findings, this study identified and documented 7 culturescapes formed through traditional beliefs, along with 7 man-made culturescapes. Detailed records were made on how these culturescapes came into existence, the meanings behind their names, and the rituals associated with them, all of which are thoroughly documented in the paper. These culturescapes, they have undergone several changes over time to ensure their durability and adapt to modern needs. The first change that we came across is the material change, where many traditional culturescapes have been modified for their durability. Structural modifications have been made, where weaker materials have been replaced with the stronger ones for longevity. In some cases, modernization led to the dismantling of original features, but there are also plans to restore these elements, and this reflects a commitment to heritage preservation. Additionally, sacred landscapes and objects have been integrated into local belief systems as reminders of pre-Christian traditions. Certain sites have also been adapted for modern recreational use, blending tradition with contemporary needs. Coming to the importance of culturescapes in the present day, despite all the changes that it underwent, even though in today's context the traditional rituals are no longer practiced, these culturescapes still hold important cultural legacies, and it helps in preserving the historical and cultural values of the community. They remain key spaces for community bonding. Many of these culturescapes have also become tourist attractions, boosting the local economy while keeping their cultural significance. These landscapes, it helps in strengthening the community's connection to nature through their scenic beauty. In Jotsoma village, human interventions like developmental projects and tourism initiatives have changed some of the landscapes. Despite these efforts to preserve its cultural significance continue, Christianity has also influenced how the community views these spaces, but Jotsoma's cultural heritage remains important. These villages' culturescapes have helps preserve its identity and attract tourists. It supports cultural tourism and the passing of the heritage across generations. However, there is an urgent need for documentation to protect these landscapes, as many are connected to oral traditions and they are at a risk of disappearing with the aging populations. And in conclusion, I want to stress that preserving our culturescapes is not just the job of a few. It is a collective responsibility requiring active community participation. Raising awareness about their cultural significance is essential to ensure the sustainability of these culturescapes for future generations.
The relationship between people and the environment is mutual. So if we allow culturescapes to be neglected, both the natural and the cultural landscapes will degrade, diminishing our quality of life and the cultural identity as well. Therefore, through shared responsibility and collective action, sacred landscapes can continue to enrich both current and the future generations. Thank you so much.
Yeah, KV, it was really interesting. And yes, human population are already at the interface with environmental collapse, cultural collapse, and now heritage collapse as well. So yes, that's for the reason indigeneity or going back to the traditional and culture is what we've got to do it. We've got to go back to finding our roots. And in doing that, we've got to ensure that we'll be preserving our heritages. And in order to preserve it, we've got to understand and explore what all are the sites that are required to be preserved, and what all are the food heritages, site heritages. There are many aspects of heritages that we've got to really it's an alarming situation that we are at the interface. So we've got to preserve, and the only way towards preservation is indigeneity. We've got to find our root, and for that we all collective efforts needs to be put in, and community needs to come forward to promote it and preserve it. With this, thank you, Kevi.
Thank you, ma'am.
I would like to add your methodology is very beautiful. The context is very much grounded. So you're finding the measurement, like in general, it is like many changes to the details of those changes. No, it is not mentioned where and how much and all that. So I think that's a gap. Otherwise, the other things has grounded down well. So thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Kevi, once again. And we have next presentation by Mr. Tanuj Kalita. He is a student from Mahindra University, Hyderabad. His topic is to do with integration of indigenous communities and local governance in the framework of a modern nation state, a comparative study of missing community in Mazuli and Minahasa community in North Sulawesi. Over to you, Tanuj. If Dr. Soumya is there online, Dr. Soumya De, are you there online? Yeah, if she's not there, you are the last one. Please take 3 minutes for your presentation, and Q&A we would be able to then carry forward.
All right. I hope I'm audible and my screen is visible.
Yes, Tanuj, your screen is visible. You are loud and clear. Please.
Okay. All right. So just a bit of context. I'm doing my PhD with Mahindra University. I am also working with a research organization who is working in Majuli, as well as some parts of Southeast Asia. So the reason that there is a comparison between the missing community and Minahasa community in Indonesia, although quite far from each other, is because there are a lot of similarities in terms of history, and they both have a plethora of indigenous knowledge. But the reason for comparison is that how it is looked by the local governance system, how it is looked by the Indonesian local governance system, and how it is looked by the local governance in Assam. So, as you all know, Majuli is the largest river island in Assam, which has also lost almost 1/3 of its land in the last 40-50 years. However, the missing tribe there, the predominant tribe there, have a very rich traditional knowledge. They are boatmen, fishermen, swimmers since they were of very young age, and they have also food habits and cultural knowledge which goes in sync with the natural disasters. But over time, what has happened is that scientific knowledge is often prioritized over this indigenous knowledge. One classic example is that uh, a recent embankment was built. An embankment was built which was broken due to the floods, and we get very heavy floods in Majuli. So, because of that flood, the embankment was broken, and that led to reproduction of natural disasters. So earlier, if people would get natural disaster floods around July, this because of the breakage of the embankment, it happened in November, for which people were not prepared. Usually, they're prepared during July or August for natural disasters. So the first point I would request everyone to look at is how scientific knowledge is prioritized over indigenous knowledge, or there is a hierarchy in place. So this is a bit of like an example of the knowledge they practice. Like for example, they have houses made of bamboo and it's elevated a bit from the ground to help them from floods. And also, these houses are zero waste. Whatever they throw within the house reaches the bottom, and they also perform livelihood activities like piggery. So the pigs consume that. So there's, in a way, it's a traditional zero waste house. This helps them cope up with different weather patterns as well as floods. Just to add that most of this.
Tanuj, you did a very interesting presentation, but you've got to wind up in 2 minutes time. So please highlight key points, where the audience
Okay, sure.
is able to understand what you are meaning to say, and then, give your findings. That would help us to, understand.
All right. Sure. Thank you. So most of this research was done through qualitative and quantitative ways, as well as I did both primary and secondary methods. There were interviews, questionnaires, and all that. I won't go into the details of the indigenous knowledge, but this is just an example of how they cope up with natural disasters. On the other hand, this is where I was in Indonesia, in Sulawesi, for almost 3 months. I was living with the indigenous communities there. I am proficient in Bahasa Indonesia, their language, and I noticed that that indigenous knowledge is prioritized not only within the community but by also other citizens, as well as it's there in the government schools, private schools. The syllabus is there. There is a very interesting thing. This is mostly the findings that they have an alliance of indigenous peoples of the archipelago. So that the short form is AMAN, which actually means stable in English. So they have this strong alliances. Even the local government has laws to promote the local wisdom, especially in the disaster, especially when they're planning for disaster resistant activities. However, in Majuli, in my few years of research, there is barely ever anything which is incorporated in the local policy documents. Even the People's Biodiversity Register, which I think all the villages are supposed to gather, is barely barely incorporates or barely in practice in this
Tanuj, you
area.
have 1 minute to go.
Yes, thank you. So I just want to.
1 minute.
Yeah, sure. So I just want to summarize by saying that indigenous knowledge is practiced in almost all disaster-prone sites because they are the ones who are facing natural disasters. But I think it is the need of the hour that the local governance or the local panchayats also incorporate this local wisdom or traditional knowledge in their policy documents. With that, I'd like to wrap up and thank all of the scholars as well as the organizers. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Tanush. It was a very, very interesting topic, and you have taken very important and very significant aspects to bring it to the wider platform. So the concern on your paper, I see that have you note down the specific indigenous knowledge which is rests with this community, and some of the context you have explored where you expect to be documented. or as a sort of practice or part of a documentation. So this is one of the concerns which I have observed in your presentation, like a systematic exploration. How have you explored this topic in a systematic manner with methodology? Have you used to explore and also filed your documents in that manner itself? So that would add more credibility to your work. Thank you so much. And this was the last presentation of this hour. And I would like to get important questions from the participants quickly. Can raise your hand and put down the questions. Anybody? Questions?
Or, ma'am, after this, we'll be going for high tea. So maybe we all can discuss the questions there as well.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, all the participants, our invited speaker is Gregory sir, for these wonderful presentations that you have given to us. So I would like to now, request our chair and co-chair to please felicitate our invited speaker and guest, Dr. S. Gregory. Somebody please take pictures, students. Let's have a big round of applause for sir. Again, request Gregory sir to please felicitate our chair, Professor Johnny Jose. And also our co-chair, Dr. Chandra Ladyali. Thank you all. Now, please let's move forward to the foyer area where tea is served. You can have those questions with sir and all the other, presenters. After the tea, please, wait for the, further. Dr. Prakash Singh, Professor of History, MIT Institute of Social Sciences, University Noida. Dr. Prakash Singh is Professor of History at MIT Institute of Social Sciences, MIT University. He is seasoned researcher and historian, specializing in Indian history and religion, ancient culture and religious literature and law. He has been a visiting fellow at the University of Lagos, at the University of Albana in Nigeria, and presented his research at the University of Central Florida, USA, with support from the HRD Ministry. Dr. Singh has received research funding from the UGC, ICCSR, ICHR, and ICPR, authored over 20 research papers in top journals, and has many Scopus Index publications. So without any further delay, I'm inviting Dr. Pushparaj. He's my mentor, he's my colleague, and he's my big brother also. Yeah, thank you. And now I'm inviting Dr. Pratima for introducing Dr. Mitra.
Now, I would like to invite our special co-chair, Dr. Mitu Das ma'am. Dr. Mitu Das is an assistant professor at Department of Anthropology, School of Social Sciences, IGNOU. She has served as program coordinator at Sarai Center for the Study. Okay. She has served as a program coordinator at Sarai Center for Study of Developing Societies, Delhi, and as an editorial assistant for the journal Bioscope, South Asian Screen Studies. With 9 years of experience at IGNO, she is the program coordinator for the Bachelor's in Anthropology and coordinates several master's courses, including Anthropology and Research Methods, Practicing Anthropology and Gender Society. Dr. Das has organized various workshops and talks and contributed a fictional piece titled The Afterlife of Amme's Betelnut Box and Other Things to the graphic novel published by Penguin India. Over to you, ma'am.
Good afternoon, one and all. Good afternoon, one and all. I have the honor and privilege to welcome Professor K.N. Dikshit sir, who has been an inspiration to a generation of history students, archaeologists, and continues to bless us with his presence even today. Professor Dikshit is the General Secretary of the Indian Archaeological Society in New Delhi. He is a prominent archaeologist and the former Joint Director General of Archaeological Survey of India. With decades of experience in the field of archaeology, Dr. Dikshit has made significant contributions to the study of India's ancient heritage. He is the chairman of a 16-member committee tasked with conducting a comprehensive study on the origin and evolution of Indian culture over the past 12,000 years, focusing on its interaction with other global cultures. His leadership and expertise continue to shape archaeological research in India. We welcome you, sir, and look forward to your kind words. Welcome, sir.
रिज्यूम करने की थोड़ी हाँ जल्दी जल्दी कर दो एडिट हो जाता है ना जब आवाज नहीं आए तो बतला दीजिएगा My dear young friends, colleagues, and person having learned in country's heritage ethos. In fact, the title was given to me, The New Trends in Archaeology. While going through with that title, I thought, why not change it? Because when it is in my hand, and I have been given the free hand, so then I made it Indian civilization through the eyes of history. Because any subject, whether it is an art subject, science subject, or anything, every subject has its past, and that is known in the archaeological, not in archaeological parlance, in the English parlance, only the history. So whatever I am going to just tell you, though I don't claim, a man of 88 years, that I am fully aware about what is happening around us in the field of archaeology. But I trust and I feel that whatever I am going to tell might go to your expectation. And I may be the short because it is after the lecture
Anything cannot be accepted blindly. It has to be debated and debated. Only then the opinions are formed. But nowadays, what is happening in our country? Somebody is having a Western opinion. Somebody is having his, rather to say, there is a news item on the NDTV daily that is left, right, and center. I think you must have seen it. I'm slightly deviating from that thing, left, right, and center. I'm judging the thing from right, left, and center. So it might be sometime my rightist view might supersede me in my thinking what I am going to tell you today. The next slide. I think you will give me 20-30 minutes. Yeah, no, I will not take more. Because I don't want to bore the people also. Since the discovery of Harappa culture in 1921, a century back, archaeologists were awake and amazed by the monumental remains of the discovery, especially at Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. But to define the process from simple hunting and food gathering stages to the common society are relatively new concern. A study of selection continuum among the group of several cultures. This paragraph is very important, which I am going to read it. The origin of Indian civilization in Indus Saraswati Valley is a live issue inviting attention from South Asian archaeologists, vis archaeological happenings in Near East, located at the intersection of Asia and Europe, suggest an incipient stage to pastoral farming in Levant and Jordan Valley, including Jaguar's Mountain, and the archaeologists tried to explain this phenomena on the basis of both their shared similarities and their differences from one and another, while detailing the fascinating story of human migration because of population growth within the past 12,000 years with reference to food plants and companion animals. You know, after this study of mine, the government has appointed a committee for the study of civilization since 12,000 years and more. And I happen to be the chairman of that committee. Everybody wants to be a member of the committee. If he is not there, he is hurt. If he is there, he will not contribute anything. If he is there, he will not contribute anything. And he will say, sometimes it is not possible, it is not. And suggestions are many. But in writing, Pushpaji is very difficult to get people motivated to that. Next. I have forgotten to tell you another thing, why I have used the word Levant and that. You know, Jaguar's Mountain, on the southern side is the well-known site of Jericho. And on the other side is the well-known site which is excavated by the European scholar. And Jericho is earlier than the other side. In recent years, archaeology has come forward to prove it with the discovery of a large number of Harappan sites on the old banks of the Dyed River, course of River Saraswati, where excavation of few sites in 21st century revealed cultural earlier to Harappan civilization, thereby suggesting that Indian civilization evolved in this region. Formerly, we used to write only the Indus civilization. The origin of Indian civilization could be better captured
after taking a cue from this angle, because it is based on a dialogue through time which culminates in the present, the entire gamut of styles and variety of dialogue should be included to make it a widely scope. The region could be also termed as a melting pot. Why I've used the word? There was a seminar in, where they have called it, where the different cultural waves, they are joining, then they have used the word as melting pot. Next. There are many literary references in Sanskrit literature from Rig Veda to Quran, mention of Saraswati. Rig Veda alone has around so many references that Saraswati was the name of a great river on the banks of the river, with the Rigvedic sages lived and composed the hymn. It is because of this that the river was realized in a variety of ways, as the best of the rivers, as the goddess of learning, as the deity par excellence. However, this river is now lost in the deserts of Rajasthan. The problem lies in proving the literary references about this and other Rigvedic rivers on the ground. The Nadi Suk in the Rigveda, it goes as O Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, Chaturdhari, Pashuni, Askani, and so on. Locate the Saraswati between the Yamuna and the Chaturdhari. One can see when in satellite imagery the patio channels now flowing at the Gagga, Gaggar, Hakra, Nara channel. These are the names given by the Pakistan and also this Nara and other channel. And Hakra names has derived the name from the earliest site which the Mughal has given it. Next. This is the satellite image of Bata Arkanda divide, establishes the identity of Satluj River. This is a एक कॉपी इसको आप बंद कर दीजिए, बंद कर दीजिए, बिल्कुल बंद कर. This is the map showing the course of river Saraswati from Ghaggar to Rana of Kutch. You can see in the Saraswati discharging their water in Rana of Kutch. Next. Scientific studies of river Saraswati. The Ghaggar, Saraswati, Markanda, and Chautang, all rivers rise from Shivalik hills. The hydrographic history of Saraswati Ghaggar system rivers have been studied by a number of geologists. Oldham, Wadia, Ali, Gurdev Singh, B.M.K. Puri, and then I have also studied compiled all the literature and have done a lot of work in Rajasthan. They postulated the changes in the drainage, Burad and Haran. It's a very old work, where of the view that probably the Giri running between Shimla and Chur peaks formerly drained into the Ganga, but later on deflected to Yamuna because of the slow upheaval of a range across its course. And that is why, that at Allahabad, they call it as a Sangam. And there also they mention the river, the name of Saraswati there. According to Rajguru, there is evidence about the bifurcation of some of the minor streams, originally joining Markanda, a tributary of Ghaggar near Nahan, into the drainage of Yamuna. The Shivalik feed this river only in the rainy season, when its water touches even the towns of Hanumangarh and Suratgarh. Next. Next. This is the course of surface through the deserts of Rajasthan from Indian high resolution satellite. You can see. And the Hakra is also given the name. And the same thing is here, discharging its water. Lower Sindh, Kutch area, and 3rd millennium BC. Next. A Mughal period map showing Indus and Saraswati channels of tidal system after G. Srinivasan. Here you can see the canals, all the things. Next. Historical map of the British showing Saraswati River as Surisuti and Ghaggar mentioned as Ghaggar, joining together and flowing parallel to Indus rivers and tying into the Gulf of Kutch. This is also again after the Srinivasa. But everything is clear. You can see Saraswati and Ghaggar. You can see Indus, everything is there. Next. Distribution of sites and Hakkar society basic during the 5th millennium BC. This was a map, 1999, originally published by Poshar. But later on, many sites have been plotted by Lal and myself. You can say it is coming Rupal and all these things. It comes Dhalewa. At Kalibanga, then from Kalibanga, Baror and other, then it enters into the Pakistan. And then Ganeriwala is the last, and Port Derawa. Right. And this, you must have heard the name of the site like Rupal, Kunal, Banawali, Balu, Dhirana, Rakegadi, Kalibanga, Soti, Sizwar, Mitatal, Padwana, Gedwad, and Delhi. Next. These are the climatic change. This work was done by Kudwitz in 1971. Before 8000 BT, wind warm, unsuitable for human settlement. 12,000 to 8,000 to 70 rainfall increase. 7,500 to 3,000 slight decline in rainfall. Phase 4, 3,000 BC, increased rainfall in the beginning, but a short dry period in the semi-arid belt, so a relatively weak weather interval. Next. Here, the distribution of several salt lakes. Rajasthan is also known for the salt lake, such as Panchpadra, Sambar, Kuchwada, Didwana, Chapa, and Malhar, support the paleontological evidence of the increase in rainfall in the whole sun period. But the other hypothesis of Singh regarding heredity between Indus and the BC, responsible for cultural gap, is a matter of discussion as other later cultures flourished in the region. Next. This is the archaeological data. Since the discovery of Pakistan, it was in 1958 that a pre-Harappan horizon, now called early Harappan, was noticed in a stratigraphical sequence at Kobdiji in Pakistan by F.A. Khan and at Kalibanga by B.B. Lal and Thapa. At Harappa in 1946, a pre-defense horizon was also noticed by Wheeler. Next. This is very important to know it, and that is the latest data. Since then, archaeologists are busy finding the origin of early Harappan. Toward the end of 20th century, beginning of 21st century, a pre-early Harappan level was confirmed in excavation at Kunal, Bhirana, Girwat, Farmana, and Rakegadi. Although a pottery termed as Hakkara was also noticed in Cholistan area, Pakistan, in explosion only, and that was in Mughal. However, set of radiometric dates from Bhirana, Rakhegadi, Girwad in India and from Mehergarh in Pakistan confirm the rise of civilization, transforming from the Neolithic agro-pastoral stage to the beginning of Chalcolithic culture somewhere during the 7th and 8th millennium BC. The excavation at Kulan by Khatri and Jacha and Bhirana in the last society provided for the first time a stage of cultural development for dwelling pits to the primary stage of settled life. These dwelling pits were not noticed earlier, except at Bujham in the excavation and the Neolithic status. The antiquity of Bhirana on the basis of radiometric dates goes back to the time between 7,380 to 6,000. That is a period of about 12 years. 6,080 to 6,200 bracket has been calculated on the basis of calibrated range of this date on the one hand and the other date on the other. Next. This is showing the old world in the civilization. There, the main important thing is if we are having the sites in India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Central Asia, and also in Saudi Arabia. Latest. And it is said that the people migrated from South India. And as happens with the cultural gamut, man never moves alone. It moves with his companion, animal companion, and the food plants which he uses. Next. Distribution of the Harappan sites in India. Next. Here is the river tract, northwestern India, having Harappan settlements ended in India. This is also a very important thing. Our knowledge about beginning of Indian civilization was limited to the earlier excavation of Neolithic Chalcolithic sites at Kile Gul Muhammad and Rana Gunde, particularly northwest region of the Indo-Pak subcontinent, were sporadic. But the excavation at Harappa in 1946 provided through the cutting and defenses a pre-non-Harappan date, which could not be assigned at that time by Wheeler. After 1947, the lowest level Kalibanga, Banawali, Balu, Soti, Nohar were found comparable with similar results from Fort Giji, Amri, Harappa, Rahmandari, and other similar sites of the adjoining region. An analysis of the material culture noticed on these sites and also in the hinterland could not push back the antiquity of region before the beginning of the 3rd millennium BC. As the present paper is confined to distribution, zone of Harappa culture, other areas, particularly Central Indian Chalcolithic cultures, namely Katha and Navdatoli, and transition from Neolithic to Chalcolithic in Ganga Valley, particularly Lauradev and Jhusi, have not taken into account, although these regions are equally important for their contribution in the origin of Indian civilization. So we have not discussed those materials here. Next. This is the data from the Pakistan. One thing, the most important thing you must know. While the pre-Harappan material from Pakistan, the brick sizes, they are in the ratio of 1 to 4.
The next man.
For example, 10, 20, and 40. And they continue in Harappan. Whereas in India, in the pre-Harappan level, the ratio is 1 to 3, 10, 20, and 30. That is the biggest thing, which differentiates our society valley sites that part. So here I have mentioned the recent works at Harappa, Karidwar, Vekonia, reviewed Rabi and Kodiji, measured in the lowest level, dividing into period 1A and B. He has particularly emphasized on the presence of handmade ceramics in period 1A, with the appearance of bead-made pottery in late level, which has been termed by him as Rabi phase, whereas in period 1B, a small percentage of bead-thrown pottery, along with other fabrics, were found. In the later stages of Rabi phase, mud bricks were used for building houses. The pre-defense pottery found earlier in 1946 belonged to period 1B. Next. This is the mud applique ware from the Rabi culture. Next. This is the terracotta wheel from Harappa. Next. Here is a Harappan pre-defense pottery. And we had a chance to visit Pakistan twice at their invitation for the international conference and other things. In January 92, a delegation consisting of Ajit and Ajit, Sonavane, Krishnan, Puri Setter, and myself, and also this Shinde, we visited Pakistan. So that is where we are telling you the earlier levels of the Harappa culture. Next. In the excavation from these earliest levels, Harappa pottery and the like cartwheels, sterile beads, bed manufacturing waste were also beat from the circular huts and constructed. Whereas the bricks were plastered with ochre color, some mud bricks wall, heavy brick, in the ratio of 1 to 4 was also reported. According to this critter, the standard Harappan brick size started from early Rabi phase, giving a clear idea that before this area witnessed the growth of urban center, a beginning was already made. Next. Here, the excavation at Harappa revealed 1 and B. This I am talking about the new sites which has been done. Then A few other sites were also located north and south of Harappa along the Ravi River and Rajangarh, broadly speaking, having some cultural material noticed at Jalilpur. Jalilpur is also a very, very important site there. Next. Jalilpur has having a 1-2 painted pottery with white and black, red, brown, red, and cursive. You can see these types of the painted pottery, they are absent from India, though we are having, although no doubt. Next, the Jalilpur is very important. This is only 72 kilometers from Harappa, and that I have already showed you. The motifs on these wares include floral and geometric and also some birds. This pottery is also associated with the limited use of copper. Dani was the first who carried out the survey of Gomal Plains, which is divided from Peshawar Valley by a great hilly barrier, although the area was already explored earlier by Sir Alexander and Holstein. It discovered the sites of Hatala, Gumla, and Raman Devi. Here I will like to just tell you, Dani is was an Indian who was working in northeast India, and his work on the Neolithic culture of the northeast is a work and commendable. Next. Hatala is a smaller site and revealed Kodiji pottery, bangles, stone, and so on. The area is littered with Kodiji material, Jandi Baba 2, Maru. Yeah. All these sites are there, and they are having a beginning of the Neolithic settlement. This is also a good area to find out the genesis of urban growth. Next. This is Jalilpur, Hakra, where this is a period 1. The downward, the black layers which you are seeing it is the period 1. And then the upper layers are the code region. This is the B period 2 you can call it. Next. These are the mud applique which I have showed you the bigger pot inside lines of Hakra, Karse, Mughal. Next. This is the Gumla. Gumla is also having the different pottery, excavation, Indian micros, this, that. And this is the area of Kile Gul Muhammad and everything. Next. Gumla painted pottery, you can see the figures. And the last one you can see this is also having a continuum at Kot Diji and other places. A continuum in the Buzam and other places. Next. Sarai Khola is another very important site in Pakistan, which was excavated in it. Damsadad is another site located 16 kilometers south of Gilingum. Other sites excavated in Quetta Valley include Kare, because these sites are important from another angle, because that is a passage to India. Next. This is the Ramanderi. Ramanderi in Gomal Plain was discovered by Dani, excavated by Durrani, ancient Pagya, who struck in excavation one of the first well-planned fortified city belonging to late 4th to 3rd million BC, and also one of the most important regional centers of Harappan civilization. In explosion and microlithic industry was also found from surface, whereas in regular excavation, the following periods were noticed. Next. Here you can again see the Remanderi pottery, fish showing lion and all these things. Durrani. Then the other one, Katsi Hut. Next, Mehergarh. Mehergarh is very important, and then I will not discuss in Mehergarh. The excavation of Mehergarh in Balochistan at the foot of Bolan Pass, 74 to 85 by French Archaeological Mission to Pakistan and Department of Archaeology of Pakistan revealed continuous cultural development by Jaris. The period 1 was earlier divided into phase A and phase 1B. 1A was A ceramic, followed by period 1 with the first course of tempered ceramic appeared. Then in period 2A, the same series continued, some structures. Next. Mehergarh 10 meters of the mound build-up, you can see. Houses from the end of the pre-potting Neolithic, you can see the plan there and above. Next. However, to establish the Neolithic of Mehrgarh between the regions of Balochistan and Indus drainage system requires further research as the case in the Bolan Basin. Mehrgarh is a good example showing a continuous development from the end of 8 billion BC to the middle of it. That's why we have taken the Mehrgarh while we are comparing our sites of Bhirana, Parmana, Puna, or the other side. Next. Mehrgarh, these are the terracotta figurines from 4th century BC, which you can see that is one of the earliest traditions of terracotta in the civilization. Next. Ceramics of first period, buff bear to this. Next. The radiocarbon dates from Mehrgarh earliest goes to Itne BC to Itne. The same date which I was telling about of Bhirana. The period 2A, the earliest in the date, it has given a late dating. Period 1A has given an early dating, late has given a B dating. The chances are this might be from a pit or other things. However, a deduction can be arrived that this site was in continuous occupation right from the middle of 8 million BC to the middle of 3rd million BC. Jari. And there is some controversy regarding the antiquity of 2A later than 2B fresh excavation area is suggested. Next. Third is that Sindh area is also coming up very well. Formerly it was not so explored, but recently it has been explored by Kasid Malla and others. And this data, however, is very important. It holds the roots of successive complexes fulfilling the precondition of urbanization. These sites are 75 in number but have not been excavated yet, as is the case in the Cholistan area. So, and the important area, the adjoining area of North Gujarat, which has clearly established the presence of the early Harappan communities directly afflicted to the coastal areas of Sindh and Balochistan, extending from Karachi to Rana of Kutch. The region behind Thatta is generally delta area. During the period of inundation, it is flooded about 32 kilometers inside. It is important for good subsistence, including source of shell and fish, and in erosion archaeological settlements are found in this area. Next. These are the main archaeological area in Sindh. Next. This is the Code DG. Code DG, as I've already told you, it is having 14 layers and the whole thing is there. And regarding the 14 layers, what has been found, this has been also mentioned. Next. This is the Code DG painted pottery, water feature. This was, I was telling you, the same thing has been found in the Neolithic level in Bujam. Then this is the Code DG. कितना टाइम नहीं आप टाइम बता दीजिए मैं उतने में खत्म कर दूंगा 10 मिनट ठीक है मैं खत्म कर दूंगा नेक्स्ट कोड डीजी कल्चर चार्ट ब्लेड्स एंड कोड्स नेक्स्ट दिस पोट्री ऑफ कोड डीजी मड अपिक डिजाइन हॉलमार्क ऑफ होता नेक्स्ट दिस इज द चोलिस्तान एरिया दिस आई हैव ऑलरेडी टोल्ड यू बहादुरपुर एरिया and other explored by this and this side Jalitpur, Ganeshwar, Derawa, they are very important. Next, I am just showing you the slides. These are the pottery which you can see. Next, early. Akraber also did the material of early Harappan pottery. And this early Harappan pottery has also been reported Kaliwanga 1, Vali 1, Balu 1 and many other sites. Next, lithic material. Stone mullers and all these things, lapis lazuli, this and that. Next, then University, Hakraber, whatever is Bannu and Goma, Mehergarh and Jay, all these things I have already told you. Next, data from India. In the last 5 decades, consultation has been done in India and we brought it. Tacitary was the first. Then oral sign, they found protostaric settlement from Hanumangarh up to Bahalpur. In it there. And then Ghosh had maintained. Thapar, Lal and Thapar, they have done it. In 1978, the author visited the archaeological site explored by A. Ghosh and provided a chronological trip in the cultural dynamics and nomenclature. So then I have also scattered Noah and Soti and then I find out this. Then later on, Baron and Tarkhanwala. Next. Gujarat and Rajasthan, they are very important. The work was done by a partial-based SRO and other. The climatic regime and drainage network, no doubt, complex in Gujarat, but were bigger in area than in Egypt and Mesopotamia. Next. This is Kalibanga. I need not to tell you. Next. This is the early Harappan pottery. These are the other things, early Harappan pottery from lot A, that is fabric A to F. Kalibanga, 1 minute. Carver 14 days. Yes, Kalibanga agriculture field. Lhasa is there. And then this is said, this is the same pattern which has been followed. But he has not gone below it so that we may know which it is, whether it is a Harappan period or early Harappan period. Next. There are 12 C40 days from Kalibanga, 33,000 is there. Next. Radiocarbon dates from Kalibanga. Next. Sochi. Next. This is the section. Next. Early Harappan wares. Next. In the child train was also made and at Nothar also. Again. Nohar early Harappan wares. Next. This is the Seashwar. Seashwar is also a site excavated by this Suraj Bhan and others. There also Kalibanga 1 is there and 2 is there. Next. Next. Manawali has been excavated by Biggs of the same period. Next. This is the Anthropological, this and that. Next. These are the terracotta fig line. Next. 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 In period 2, a Banwali low town by using a common vase, citadel form, carnelian and lapis lazuli gold. The site was occupied in portion of Pastilia. Next. Balu, it was done by UV Singh and Suraj Bhan in Haryana and revealed the same thing. Next. Rakhegadi, you must have seen many times. It is coming in the paper also every time. And then it has got circular page fire chamber. And recently, our Sinde has done the DNA analysis of certain skeletons. Next. General view of Rakhegadi. Next. Next. These are the charcoal samples, radiocarbon dating. Next. Next. Study of skeletal remains, DNA. Next. Rakhegadi, burial of a lady that produced authentic signature. Next. Kunal was excavated by them, and it had been excavated by the Indian Archaeological Society also. Next. Another noteworthy pottery is the same dwelling pit one. Next. Kunal, this is the painted pottery. Then this is also a painted pot. Next. Let's see the dwelling pit continue. Site was excavated in the day by Indian Dr. Mani, one of the calibrated dates in the name. Next. Virana has been also excavated. Next. Location of dwelling pits. Next. These are the structures. Period 1. Next. Dwelling pits. Next. General view. Next. Early Harappan wares. Complete. Next. These are all the early Harappan. Next. 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 This is the Virana section of the mount. Next. These are the chart blades, copper, arrowheads, and everything. Next. These are clay mother goddess from Virana and Mehergarh. They have been compared. Next. 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 These 14 days, Virbalsani Institute, Virana. They are also going to save 7,590 plus points. Next. Next. This is the table. Neolithic, then period 2A, transition period, early Harappan, then period 3 mature Harappan, and period 4 is the late Harappan. Next. Here, this is very important thing which I am going to tell you, and which has happened in archaeological. Marshall has dated the beginning of Indus civilization to 3000 BC, which was the accepted date of this civilization till the renewed excavation carried out by Mortimer Wheeler at Harappa, where it dated this culture between 2350 to 1700. The shorter chronology was further confirmed by the C14 dates from the excavation carried out later on Indo-Pak subcontinent, especially by TA of India का जो नहीं है Tata Institute of Fundamental Research and PRL. Now Harappan chronology has been put to scrutiny by the calibrated dates and new excavation. It has been challenged because it was because of this date that the Indian culture was for a long time dated below the accepted normal dates of, say, to beginning cannot be said, but the maturity is somewhere starting from the middle of 4th millennium BC and so on. Next. This is a Burrow. The same story is there. Next. These are the, you can see a kind of a deterioration or something like that, which was in the region of Hakra or in Rajasthan. Next. This Farmana is later. Next. Sand slipped and microbe. This you can see. Next. Next. Girwad is the same, excavated by this Schindler. Next. Girwad general view of the excavated features. Next. Next. You can see mud applique and all these things. Next. Not Gujarat. It is the same. Gujarat and other. It has having the importance because of the later culture, Padri culture that is called. Next. Loteshwar. Next. Next. Loteshwar excavation, not done. Next. Padri situated Gulf of Kabar, according to these two Dhirana and Gidwad, they have given a plan. Ravi phase of profit from our part. Next. The recent archaeological evidence of Balasal Giloon also suggests in North Gujarat as the internal development within the Mesolithic lifestyle region, a site like Bagor. As Bagor has two phases, blade industry and other. Next. Conclusion, all these early Harappan stages, especially in northern Pakistan, Gujarat, Rajasthan, Haryana, point to the beginning of primary urbanization in Indo-Pak subcontinent on the lines of a similar developing trajectory as Mesopotamia and Egypt. A chronological comparison of early Old World civilization has also been done recently by scholars in India and Pakistan. Moreover, the archaeological data from pre-early Harappan to early Harappan shows a smooth transition without any break or cultural gap in the areas of Harappa, Jalilpur, and other excavated sites noticed in Hakra Saraswati Valley. Thus, the last river Saraswati Valley laid a new foundation for urban life and set in motion in one way or another the status of Hakra Saraswati region as the cradle of Indian civilization. Thank you. I'm sorry, I have taken a little time.
No,
But
yes.
the question is this.
Well,
And my last thing is, if there is any query,
definitely.
if anybody wants, even today or tomorrow, he can send me, and with details and everything, it will be answered. And there will be no word like no. I have no time. That is not. Every individual, whether he is a student of MA or has done PhD or even the modern times, when they enter in the university, they waste only 8 years only to tell the students that I am just telling you this and topic. And this time I have emphasized one thing at the Kota conference in the Indian Archaeological Society, which I want to convey here also. I don't know whether the people who are here, but Mr. Pushwaj, you have to do that. There is a tendency in the senior teachers to put their name with the work of the students. This is, you don't allow the work to the children to get independence. They feel a kind of a, rather to say, hegemony. You cannot think anything without high command. So my idea was this, I have emphasized, many senior teachers were there. And I have told them that you kindly convey. I am too old for this. I cannot visit so many places and tell all these things. But certainly I am pained that the youngster, one should not give their names. And you'll be surprised to know for the first time, though Archaeological Survey is the foremost and first who was not giving the name of the workers. But my latest report on Hulas excavation, which I have carried out in Western UP, Harappan side, and dating is between 2600 BC to 1900 BC. There, I have published the papers, the chapters which they have contributed. I have made the changes and other things, but I have given in their name. There was one Mr. Vishi Sharma, then the present Director General, Mr. Rawat. He was a student of MA 1980, directly came to Hulas for the training. He has also contributed. I have also given his name. Then Sarsatar was there from Lucknow, Palynological Institute. So those people who have given, or this Harappan gentleman, Indian one, I have given his name also. So from my side, by this lengthy, boring, and disturbing lecture is over.
Not at all, sir. So we are actually blessed today to hear you speak, take us back to the past and give us a visual tour of Harappan civilization in such a detailed manner. We are totally blessed. And therefore, I thank you, sir, being with us today. And I thank you on behalf of the organizers here at MET. And may we now have the felicitation for sir, please. Yes, if there is any query right now, you can ask sir. If not, sir, as he has said, you can write to him, email him, and he is very much approachable.
But I am in Delhi, and here are also having a good museum, very small. And the title of the museum is Ascent of Man, how the man has developed. And all these stages, anthropological stages, from the origin up to Homo sapien with the Homo erectus. And how it became white, it was because of the exposure of vitamin D. Yes,
Yes, sir, for your insightful and engaging lecture. Now I would like to call upon Professor Raj Singh and Dr. Mitu Das ma'am for facilitating, sir, with a token of gratitude.
Now we have a one paper presentation by Dr. Tani Chakrabarti. You have 10 minutes to complete.
Good afternoon, everybody. It takes courage to stand in front of Dikshit sir. So, today I'm going to talk about new trends in archaeology, and this is something very dear to my heart, archaeology of children in India. So, the title of the topic is Tracing the Archaeological Enigma Through Bioarchaeology Towards the Archaeology of Children in India. So, before I start talking about the bioarchaeological perspective and bioarchaeological aspect of children, so it is very important to understand why children and who are the children. So basically, it started somewhere around 1968 when a very androcentric paper started commenting that man the hunter, and as a result by Irene Devore and Richard Lee and Irene Devore, so they categorically mentioned in the prehistoric society, men, they were actively engaged in hunting. Women, they were confined to the camp, and children, no, they never existed actually. So as a result, children, no, they are not there. So the counterpart of the this critical paper in 1975, Shally Shalcombe, she came up with a fantastic paper. Said woman the gatherer, and that paper actually laid the foundation stone of archaeology of children, gender, feminism, and all those aspects. So the it was very critical about the androcentric view towards looking at archaeological data and archaeological perspective. So what happened next? Somewhere around 1980s, with the gradual dominance of post-processionalism, the theoretical aspect helped faceless, so-called faceless, to gain some sort of importance, and as a result of that, feminist archaeology, gender archaeologist, archaeology of motherhood, womanhood that started coming up. Still, children was associated with mother. It was mother and children. It was never children and mother. So this view again was criticized in 1987. Another paper was written by a Nordic scholar, Grete Lillehammer. That was a first paper solely dedicated to children, and a very fantastic topic she raised, the world of children. So as a result of her paper, a group of archaeologists from Cambridge, they came up with a paper, with a journal, Archaeological Review from Cambridge, and the first special volume was published in 1994, and the editor was Deribensky, and a fantastic paper came out from that thing, Where Have All the Children Gone? So as a result, children started gaining substantial, I would not use the term substantial, little bit attention in the archaeological record. Now, whenever we talk about children in the archaeological context, there are two very dominating aspects. One is bioarchaeological aspect, and second one is cultural aspect or social aspect. So when we talk about children from the archaeological perspective, it is non-adult or sub-adult when we talk about the bioarchaeological or biological remains of children. But when we talk about the material aspect of children, we stick to the point, children and childhood. Now,
to this distinct understanding and the distinct concept of children and childhood, while it was gaining significance in the West, especially in the Scandinavia, India was still, kind of lagging behind, and they were focusing on the very scientific approach of looking at archaeological data. So as a result, what happened while the archaeology of children and childhood started in the West somewhere around 1980s, in India, the skeletal remains were mostly confined to analyzing the adult skeletal remains in order to identify the racial affinities. So as a result, again, the perennial problem and perennial statement started coming out. Children, nah, they never existed. As a result, what happened, somewhere around 1986-87, the Deccan scholars, Wallenbesser, then Tavares, then Lucas, they started focusing on the biological remains of children in order to understand the cultural, biosocial aspect of children and childhood. Because what happened, children plays a pivotal role in any society. We can never imagine a society without the presence of children. So if we eliminate him from the demography, it will be a disaster. So as a result, when we find the kind of demographic component of children, so they're the critical indicator to say whether the society is suffering, going through some environmental stress or physiological stress or in a nutritional state and so on and so forth. So this kind of research carried out by Wallenbe, Lucas, then Kennedy, they started throwing some sort of insight in the life and lifestyles of the little ancestors. So with their pioneering research, children from the periphery, they started remaining some sort of significance in the archaeological context. From the category of other finding, they remain, they gain the, category findings related to children. Now, when we talk about children in archaeological context, Chalcolithic India is predominated by the presence of child skeleton, especially the Chalcolithic Deccan. Inamgaon, Nevasa, Woki, Kauthe, Dainabad, these are predominated by the child skeleton. Now, whenever we talk about when I was doing my own work, I'll not extend my talk. I'll not bore you after Dikshit sir's talk. I feel so uncomfortable to talk actually. But still, as a protocol, I'm doing that. So when I was doing my work, I was doing my PhD. So that time, it was very interesting, the data, the entire data set. So I just started focusing on 416 skeleton remains from the Chalcolithic population, both male, both adult and children. Then out of 416 skeletal remains, it was almost 69, almost 70% skeletal remains were sub-adult skeletal remains. And based on the analysis, then I have found like the children, the child skeleton, they started showing various types of pathological lesions. For example, specific and non-specific indicators of physiological stress, pathological markers resulted from infectious disease, dental pathology, traumatic lesions, congenital malformation, etc. So now, to be more precise, when we talk about the indicator, major indicator of stress from the skeletal remains, we have enamel hyperplastic lesion, we have Harris line, we have periostesis, we have tubervitalia, and finally we have porotic hyperostesis. I'll not get into the detail of that. So porotic periostesis is a pathological lesion formed by the infection, and it is a formation of a new bone in the periosteum. Then when we talk about porotic hyperostesis, very interesting, the skeletal manifestation of anemia, then cribra orbitalia, another form that happens in the upper orbital part, and enamel hyperplastic lesion. There's a typical indicator of intrauterine and, neonatal stress. So if you look at this graph, I just wanted to make it little simple. These are the array of, or these are the wide range of paleopathology found on the chalcolithic subadults. So here, if you look at this graph, the neonates and the infants, they were suffering from enamel hyperplastic lesion. That is a white one. And age group 1 to 5, they were more vulnerable to periostosis. That means infectious disease. Now, if you look at this graph, again, porotic hyperestosis, periostosis, enamel hyperplastic lesion, and Harris line. Here also, porotic periostosis and enamel hyperplastic lesion, they were the most dominating pathological lesion. That means the children, they were perennially suffering from health issues. I will just conclude right now. So, based on that thing, so only 3 points I want to mention. Mesolithic people, they are more healthier because the Mesolithic during the Mesolithic phase, the mother-children bonding were extremely intact. So mother used to spend more time with the child. But with the gradual development of agriculture, what happened? The lactating mother had to go to the field in order to, perform some agricultural activities. As a result, the child used to suffer from perennial health-related issue and recurrence of infection. Second thing, introduction to the new environment that created a great amount of stress on the skeletal, on the overall health profile of the children. And the third thing is weaning stress. And the most important thing is intrauterine health. Probably the pregnant mother did not have much time or sufficient food, which could not nourish the child. So I will conclude here. Thank you so much for listening. If you have any question, I would love to address that.
Thank you for your very interesting presentation.
Thank you, sir. Pleasure.
Now we move on to our next presenter, Mr. Tamal Datta, Research Scholar, Department of Anthropology, University of Calcutta.
I'm already here. There's a Amity University. There's a folder there. Amity is in the first year. Go there. And the PPT, middle panel. Yeah.
Tamal, please conclude within 5 minutes because we are running short of time.
Sure.
You can start with the presentation, but I just need to share.
Oh, make it here.
No. I need to share it on the
Okay.
Zoom. Yes.
Well, thank you so much. And good afternoon, everyone. Present Dr. Dikshit sir and other dignitaries, esteemed scholars, fellow researchers, and dear students and online participants. Tamal Datta, I'm a faculty of Department of Anthropology, Sundarban High Research College, affiliated to University of Calcutta, and also I'm a PhD scholar of Department of Anthropology, University of Calcutta, and also associated with other academic bodies like our Indian Anthropological Society, Shitty Society, and others. So today I'm going to present on our very recent research on that absolute geochronological context of the Meta-Paleolithic cultures in Eastern India. The Paleolithic search in India was first initiated by Wall in 1863 from South Indian Pallavaram. And later on, the Valentine Wall searched Paleolithic Paleolithic researchers from the Eastern region from starting to 1865 to 1875. And thereafter, many more eminent scholars like Dharani N.K. Bose, A.K. Ghosh, and others have been worked in here. But till now, there is no such research or the discoveries are saying or denoting the Middle Paleolithic culture within the geochronological strata, and not giving, there is no such any absolute chronology here. So this is our that we have tried, and this is our research interest, and to gain insights into the understanding of the Paleolithic cultural period in terms of chronology, into pathology, technology, and its function, with a view to the reconstruction of the behavior of humans who lived in the plateau since Pleistocene period. So before I proceed, we need to know a glance of the Middle Paleolithic. So after that, the Middle Paleolithic was introduced by Lardit to the systematically classification of Paleolithic culture and space system by Lubbock and Thompson, respectively. However, the term was thereafter in use and associated with the findings from the European Tycite lay Mustier by De Mortlake and globally popularized by Mediterranean culture, which is fivefold cultural stage denoting the transitory phase between lower and upper Paleolithic cultural period by the changing mood in the tool typology, technology, and raw materials. Whereas in India, the term the Paleolithic in much debatable, and many of the scholars name the cultural phases according to their research. So there are many scholars have been worked in the Middle Paleolithic culture context in the Europe who are basically focused on the typical cultural characteristics changing mode in tool typology, technology, and raw materials, comparing to the preceded cultural assemblages, sedimentological and paleopathological remains, and the climatological influence on the cultural responses. In India, except the eastern region, many of the scholars have been worked in the different aspects on Middle Paleolithic cultural context and well established the cultural assemblages within a proper geochronological boundary. Well, in eastern India, especially in single district of State Jharkhand, a number of studies has been carried out till now, but no study is clearly distinguishing the Paleolithic cultural context from the Paleolithic assemblages. So here are our objectives to establish the Middle Paleolithic cultural period in the Eastern Indian through the absolute chronology and cultural assemblages found at the site Jagannathpur.
Please talk about your findings.
This is our findings, sir. Okay. So there are fourfold and long methodologies have been applied to conduct the research, basically starting from the topographic map and the field studies consisting of the exploration, the paleosol study, the river terraces, stratigraphic studies, the thalwick studies, test phase has been done, stratigraphic analysis has been done, the morphological analysis tools have been done, functional analysis has been done, and the river terraces study has been done for the to understand the chronology, and the absolute chronology, waste hill dating has been done by the collecting of the soil sample from the strata. So the Jagannathpur is a hamlet and a subdivision of Ghatshila in Purvi Singham district, which was primarily discovered by and recorded by Professor Ashok Ghosh of Department of Anthropology in University of Calcutta in 1970s, and later on during 2018 and 19, civil work has been done, and we have published a paper from Vietnam in 2021 regarding to this, and thereafter 2022 to 2023 we have extended research, and we got very interesting resource from here. So here are the site and stratigraphy from here. Here's the Google map, the picture. And this is the site of geomorphology, and this is stratigraphy. And this is the T6 converter. We have estimated the site area. And there is a there's a upper loose gravel bed, which is considered as a gravel bed 2, which consisting the Middle Paleolithic assemblies in Eastern India. So some easy to findings, and the flake elements are findings in the geological layers. So here are the analysis that the Maximum of the scrapers and scraping tools out of the cultural assemblages they've been scrapers and made of flake tools. And in that maximum of the ended scrapers having single-sided ended scraper and are only 22.81% are double-sided scraper, and thereafter the 78.57 percent scrapers are made on flakes. Okay, so we have done on the various parameters to analyze the tools from the recorded from the site, and there are the functional analysis of those tools, and the working margins has been analyzed. There are the probable tool holding gestures we have reconstructed to the human behavior with the tools, Paleolithic tools. So here our Jagannathpur sites is belong from that the flake tool tradition is belonging from the upper loose gravel bed. So here are the data, the OSL data within the Indian Paleolithic culture, which is coming from the 50.6 KYR to 80.8 KYRs, and this is the first, maybe the first OSL dating for the Paleolithic culture in Eastern India. Well, we have put all the coming data geological, the absolute chronologies on the Indian map. So here are all the data I think you can understand on that. Okay, so here are the results that the Mid-Paleolithic cultures in the Eastern Jagannathpur was found in the stratigraphy layer identified on the secondary laterite, followed by an upper loose gravel bed presenting in the conjunction of the middle to upper Pleistocene period, which is approximately estimated from 3 million years to 1 million years. And for Eastern India, the absolute date of Mid-Paleolithic culture ranged from 80.8 KYR and 256 to 50.6 KYR. And the cultural assemblages are basically based on scraper dominating and flake tool dominating culture. So here are my discussion. I'm not going to the details on it, but the primary problem of the present study is to distinctly identify the Mid-Paleolithic cultural segments within the geological strata. The Eastern Indian Mid-Paleolithic assemblages may be found from the upper loose gravel bed to upper city clay, which geochronologically belongs to the middle Pleistocene to upper Pleistocene times. Eastern Indian Mid-Paleolithic assemblages is dominated by various types of scrapers, mostly made on prepared quartzite flakes. The Eastern Indian Mid-Paleolithic culture has no similarity with the European Medial Paleolithic cultures in type of technological context. The geology, environment, geology, and chronology of the Eastern Indian Mid-Paleolithic culture differs from the European Mid-Paleolithic context. The European Indian Mid-Paleolithic culture emerged and later than Europe and originated in the red lateritic soil and on its own in response to the particular environment and geophysical setting, and perhaps due to the common mental template of the Homo sapiens. Thank you so much. Here I'm ending.
Mr. Tamal.
So is there any query or anything to be understood? You can contact with me.
But there won't be. Next, we have next presenter is Mr. Amit Ranjan, research scholar from Asoka University. Amit, please stick to the time given, only 5 minutes.
Hello. Thank you very much. So it's great to be here in front of Ken Dixit sir. I was also a student of here, so I think he is leaving. So it's okay. He has talked a lot about Harappan civilization, and I'm also going to talk about Harappan civilization, but particularly about Rakhi Gadi. And so when I started my research, I had two questions about pre-Harappan culture and early Harappan culture. So I started investigating about where is the root of Harappan civilization it comes. So first, generally I'm working on ceramics. So I'll first talk about ceramics. So ceramics are integral to understand the technological, economic and cultural practice of Harappan civilization. Pottery plays an essential role in everyday lives where it helps maintain cultural traditions, ideologies and behaviors that people accept as natural. Through daily routines and interactions, pottery helps transit important social information supporting the functioning of society. Technology in this context is seen as both the technical and mental process that humans use to meet their social needs. So the site Rakhigari is one of the largest and most significant Harappan site, comprises 7 distinct mounds that reveals a rich historical sequence from early farming communities to mature Harappan period. The site RJ7 was subjected to excavated by Institute of Archaeology in 1997 to 2001 by Amarendranath, and then by Deccan College in 2013 to 16, and then during 2022 to 2023 by Dr. S.K. Manjul. And that time I was also one of the participants who excavated this site. So earlier when the site was excavated by several peoples and 7 or 8 years, but till they all have just identified this site as a burial ground. Then after the excavation of 2022, we excavated this burial ground again for the DNA analysis, but we tried to dig inside the burials to see what is the cultural sequence. Then we find some interesting evidence. The first time in any Harappan sites, before the burial, we got the early Harappan settlements. Then we started digging the further, and then we found some Hakraware culture. So before the previous research categorized the Hakraware phase as a pre-Harappan culture, which has distinctive features, and the early Harappan is a different and the new culture which comes after the Hakraware culture. But when I was doing the morphological study of the ceramics, because I worked on ceramics, so I started looking the similarity and dissimilarity of the early Harappan pottery and the Hakraware pottery, and then we find very similar process, the similar kind of technology, similar kind of uh, preparation, and then the paintings and all done by the Hakraware people, and the same done by the early Harappan people. Before this study, there is no evidence of this kind of a study like the Hakraware pottery has developed in early Harappan culture. There was one site called Virana. People had talked like the early Harappan pottery has developed from the Hakraware phase, but there was no substantial evidence. I have done some FTIR analysis to know the firing technique and some technological process of the pottery, how it was made. Then we found like most of the pottery, like chocolate sleepware, mud applique ware, like the Dixit sir already showed the mud applique and everything. I'll also show. But those are the pottery, and the parallel slighted ware are the very similar which we found in Hakraware culture, and then we found in the early Harappan culture. Before this site, the RGR7, there was no evidence of any site where we found the Hakraware and early Harappan culture in a stratigraphic context. So here is the stratigraphy which is showing there is no hiatus between early Harappa to mature early Harappa and Hakraware cultures. So this is the pottery. I'm concluding very fast because we don't have time. So this is the pottery of early Harappan phase, where you can see the mud applique ware in the last column, and then this is the chocolate slip ware which we have found in early Harappan phase, and then we found this is the Virana pottery. They have published only this much material, a chocolate slip and this slanting line red ware, and then the bichrome pottery. This is the very similar kind of this pottery. So we have only two differences in the Hakra and early Harappan phase. So this pottery in the middle one. So we have the mud applique ware, which has more calcareous material. They have mixed it and then they have put mud on the pot, the base of the pot. But in Hakra pottery, if I zoom it, then okay. So there is no much calcareous material. They have just put the simple clay, and then the same pattern they have followed in the mature phase as well. So there is, in my research, I have not found much difference between these three sorts, like palace-sided ware and then the mud applique ware and chocolate slip ware, not much different. So again, I'm just concluding, like, so the earlier upon pottery or the earlier upon phase has developed from the Hakra culture or Hakra ware phase. Thank you.
Thank you, Amit, for it, following the timeline. Next paper, we have Dr. M. Surendra, who will be joining us from Eritrea. So, can you please?
So he is not joined yet. We can move to the next one.
Okay. So, next one is Mr. Soumya Ghosh, Research Scholar, Department of Anthropology, University of Calcutta.
Yes, sir. Sir, I'm sharing my screen.
Okay. But please mind that you have only 5 minutes to complete your presentation.
Sir, is the screen shared?
No, I'm not able to see. Yeah, now it's happening. Yeah, now it's fine. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Somo Ghosh, a research scholar of the Department of Anthropology, University of Calcutta. And my topic of presentation is interpretation of pupil marks found in different prehistoric sites of Jharkhand. Pupil marks is the oldest form of rock art. It is the petroglyph which was introduced to the world by Robert G. Veterinary in 1993. The word pupil comes from the Latin word pupilla, meaning nipple cask. Pupil marks are also known in various names as given by the scholars based on the functions such as map of stars, curve stones, uh, fertility rituals, sacrifice stones, altar stones, and many other such names. It is found in almost all the continents except Antarctica. In India, it is found in states like Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Karnataka, and many other such states. The objective of the present study is to identify the functions of pupil marks and the related cultures of the three prehistoric sites of Marvatari Cave, Isko Rock Shelter Cave, and Pakri Barwadi located in the Hazaribagh district of Jharkhand. For this, the existing literature was thoroughly studied, the sites were explored, the geophysical settings have been observed properly, and the evidences of the prehistoric tools have been traced. The colors and depth of the pupil marks have been analyzed with associated culture. In the end, the pupil marks present on the megalithic stone were studied by the grid system to find out the position, orientation, size, and of the pupil marks. Many research scholars have studied the cup marks found at different places and have concluded that different functions of pupil marks are there. Some of these are color preparation for rock art, votive offerings, recreation, food grinding processing, rituals, determining the direction, and astronomy. There is some list of works done by previous scholars. Now, the three sites chosen in this study is present in the Hazaribagh district of Jharkhand. The Isko Rock Shelter Cave is situated on the Sati Hill, which is a part of Chhatra forest or forest of the North Karampura range, and it's situated in the and the site faces east direction. The total length of the site is 28.70 meters. The site was discovered by Chakravarti in 1996, and the rock art includes anthropomorphic, geomorphic, and floral motifs along with pupil marks. Earlier scholars have concluded that the site belongs to Mesolithic and Chalcolithic period. The second site, Marvatari Cave, was discovered by Bulu Imam in 1991 and is situated near the Isko village at the southeastern slope of Sati Hill. Also known as Malvatari Gufa by the contemporary tribal people, the site faces north direction, expanding from west to east direction. The name Marvatari comes from the name of the river that flows near the site, and Paleolithic implements have been found from this site. The last site, Pakri Barwadi, is the megalithic observatory site. The name Pakri Barwadi comes from the name of the village Pakari Barwadi located near it. And many types of megalith has been seen. Paleolithic implements such as scrapers, microblades, knives, urine, as also iron slags and postures have been found.
Soumya, please talk about your conclusion and findings.
Yes, sir. This is my conclusion. The cupel marks found in the ISCO cave site has been found on the walls of the rock shelter caves, and their irregular size and arrangement. Coming to the functions of these cupel marks, it is seen that the rock art has been considered as a sacred place where our ancestors practiced many rituals. The rock contemporary tribal people consider the ISCO rock shelter cave as sacred place where they worship their village deity, ancestor, and other mythic characters in the form of rock art. The rituals is performed by Nike. From this, we can conclude that the cupel marks found at this ISCO cave is attached to the religious ritual activities. The cupel marks found in Marmatari caves are found on a stone slabs placed in northwest direction and also on the wall of the cave. The evidences of the cupel marks from the cave suggest that the cave was used to please the supernatural powers. The contemporary practice of the rituals entering the cave or by the surrounding tribal communities also strengthen the possibilities of the latter. Lastly, in the 1 minute. So, lastly, in the cupel marks found in Pakri Parvati indicates that the cupel marks were used for death ritual to offer votive offerings to the deceased person. The ethnographic data in Jharkhand by the contemporary tribal people, especially the Mundas, perform the death ritual where this kind of setup is seen. Lastly, I would like to conclude that the rock art are of two types, natural and man-made. Natural pupils are used for color palette as well as ritual practices and magical religious activities, whereas artificially made pupil marks are perhaps used for offerings. Thank you.
Thank you, Soumya. Thank you very much. Next presenter is Miss Kia Chanda, research scholar, University of Calcutta. Kia, are you there?
Yes, sir, I am here. Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, you are audible.
Okay, sir. I am sharing my screen.
Yeah, just give an introduction of your topic, your talk about your major findings and conclusion only. If you are not able to share, you can continue without sharing.
Sir, am I audible, sir?
Yeah, you are audible. You can just present.
But I think it's there are some technical issues. I can't show my slide here.
In that case, you carry on with your presentation without sharing your screen.
Okay, sir. And sorry for this, sir. I'm extremely sorry. I am Kia Chandu. I am from.
And your findings and conclusion.
Okay, sir. I am Kia Chandru. I am from University of Calcutta, research scholar of Department of Anthropology, and my topic is to. I am trying to connect the color pigments which were used in the rock arts and its indigenous people of Hazaribagh who are still now using those colors in their home arts. And those colors of home arts and the rock arts have similarities because all those colors in the primitive time, prehistoric peoples used natural colors for drawing their bodies, their caves, and these colors were mainly taken from botanical sources, animal sources, and charcoal, and from color minerals like sands and stones, different kinds of soils. And but nowadays, synthetic these colors are replaced by synthetic colors. We don't find any natural colors nowadays, and but in Hazaribagh, I have visited one rock shelter which is called ISCO, and 4 villages which are nearby the rock shelter. These are Oria village, Nano village, and Oria Nano and ISCO village, which is just beside the rock shelter, and Jorakathi village. And these four villages, I have seen, when I see Hazaribagh rock arts, there I found mainly three colors: red, yellow, and white, and black in very limited amount. And but and when I started to study the ethnoarchaeological data, I collected the ethnoarchaeological data from from the villages,
About your finding and conclude your presentation now.
Yes, sir. These are there are also present those red color and the white color and the yellow, red, and the white color, which by the local people are called the geru mitti and dudhi mitti. They use those colors from prehistoric times till now in their walls. In prehistoric time, these were all used in the walls, and nowadays they are painting all using painting their walls by all those colors which were used in the prehistoric times. And these are in the time of, and these are totally ritualistic. They are shohrai and homars which are present in Hazaribagh, and they paint those walls, and they paint all of their walls and in the time of festive seasons. And Hazaribagh is full of hills, and many of them have rock art present in the hills, and the village which we have also.
Please
Yes, sir, I am concluding. Hazaribagh has so many rock shelters and so many villages, and those villages follow the same patterns which prehistoric people have drawn in their walls. Those animal figures and plant figures and those symbols are actually nowadays also present in the walls of those paintings, and the colors, even I say the colors, these colors are also same. When it's about the red color, geru mitti, the white color, dudhi mitti, and yellow color, all the things are, except the black color, I couldn't find it in the walls of Evert. Except this black color, the rest three colors are present and used by indigenous people till now it is in Hazaribagh. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Priya. Next, we have Ms. Rupsa Karmkar, a student of Department of Anthropology, University of Calcutta. Rupsa, are you
Yes,
there?
sir. Yes, sir. Am I audible?
Please follow the timeline. You have only 4 minutes to conclude.
Sir, am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible.
Okay. I'm sharing the screen now. Good afternoon, everyone. I have done my research on pre-industrial iron smelting in Eastern India. It's an anthropo-archaeological study. So metallurgy in human history appeared as a result of human curiosity and experimentation. The development of metallurgy is considered the prelude to the urban revolution by Gordon Childe. The development of pyrotechnology and the improvement of human skills to manipulate and control fire with time led to the production of iron, accidentally at first and with much conscious effort later, as iron smelting requires 1535 degrees centigrade inside the kiln. Pre-industrial iron smelting was not only about metallurgy or craftsmanship, but was a ritualistic and economic phenomenon. The present anthropo-archaeological study of pre-industrial iron smelting illustrates how smelting technology evolved from its prehistoric origin, based on archaeological evidence and ethnographic knowledge from the contemporary traditional iron-making communities in Eastern India. So these are my objective, which to reconstruct the pre-industrial iron smelting technology through the archaeological evidence and the lives and memories of the descendants of the ancient iron smelters in India, and to reconstruct the stages of evolution of iron working technology in the as a lost technology as a part of cultural heritage. So
talk about
okay, I have okay. Okay, these are the archaeological evidences such as slags, smelting furnace, and potsherds. And the ancient iron smelting technology in Eastern India was about using food bellows. These are by the Loharas at the Purulia district in West Bengal. And these are the stages of the evolution from the food bellow to the use of electric blowers in the traditional iron working. So this is my summary. The evidence of iron smelting and the memories from the memories of the descendants, it can be concluded that the origin and development appeared in the Iron Belt region of India, and the probability that the Chalcolithic rock art sites of Jharkhand was the beginning of the iron smelting, and the Agarias and of Hazaribagh district were exploited by the British Company, and the Lohra smelters made different iron weapons for as a safety. And the technological aspect, the evolution stages of traditional ironworking technology involved the modifying the structures of the bellow that facilitate air into the charcoal fire from pre-industrial iron smelting to the current practice of traditional ironworking. Though the process of iron smelting might have already extended for a while, the ritualistic performance as part of their cultural identity of the traditional iron smelters and signify their antiquity with iron. Thank you.
Thank you, Rita. Thank you very much. Next, we have Ms. Jayashree Kalita, research scholar from IIT Guwahati.
Yes, sir.
Jayashree, you have only 3 to 4 minutes. Talk about your findings, methods, conclusion.
Sure, sure. Okay, good afternoon, respected sir and madam. My name is Jayashree Kalita and currently I am pursuing PhD in IIT Guwahati. Today I'll be talking about the analysis of archaeological settlement pattern in Northeast India using geospatial techniques, where I use GIS as a major tool, and that with that I develop a methodology using advanced geospatial techniques and try to understand settlement distribution pattern in terms of different topographical settings. So the understanding of settlement pattern has long been a major interest in archaeological research. In relation to this, topography plays a vital role in landscape archaeology. Therefore, regional topography is also considered as a significant factor in determining location of a specific site. To do so, I have generated a database where I use a SRTM digital elevation model and with 30-meter resolution and created maps of elevation, slope, aspect, drainage pattern, and along with that, I also generated 1 kilometer and 3 kilometer buffer. So here I have generated DM of the study area where I calculated the data in the platform of ArcGIS Pro, and the data shows that the elevation of the region ranges from -33 to 7,885 meters above the sea level. So again, the result shows that out of the 64 sites, 33 numbers were found located at a below average elevation. On the contrary, there are only 5 sites situated in a higher elevations. So in the slope analysis, the result shows that the majority of sites are within the low range, which is 1.39 to 11.29%, and only one site located on a higher slope value. So again, the results of aspects shows the result. The 16 site with highest number had a southeast value. Only 3 sites found in the north direction. Therefore, this result indicates the southeast direction is more predominant in this study region. So again, the results obtained from the stream network analysis shows that 36 out of 64 sites are located near the first order of stellar stream order classification. Similarly, 20 sites.
What your finding and conclude?
Yeah. So here I would like to conclude that from the analysis, it is revealed that archaeological evidences sites are predominantly located on low slope angle and low lying elevation, where basically it suggests a pattern of strategic preference for selecting the landscape and provide easy access to raw materials and reduce the vulnerable effect of soil erosion. Eventually, sites which are visibly located on high elevation and high slope as seen by naked eye are not as high and inaccessible when contextualized with reference to the entire study region. As aspects suggest the sunlight direction, the outcome results also suggest an angle of sunlight on the location of the site. Geographically, the region of Northeast India, as we know, that covered by lush green vegetation for which sunlight is necessary. Therefore, it is difficult to conclude that the particular aspect direction favored the archaeological sites.
Now.
Yeah, said 1 minute, it's just last. Here, the results of stream order and concern point to the result of, corresponds to the result of elevation and slope. as most of the sites are located near the first, second, and third stream order. And according to O. Collagen and Mark, these sites are less vulnerable compared to the stream order 4 and 5. And this suggests that sites were carefully chosen to locate near such type of stream order to minimize the risk of seasonal flood. So, thank you. These are some of the references.
Last, we have poster presentation by Mr. Jeet Burman from University.
Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, you are audible.
Okay, thank you. I'm sharing my screen.
You are presenting poster.
Yes, sir.
Okay, just share your poster and you have 1 minute to explain.
Sir, the other participants are still sharing the screen, so I can't share my screen. It is showing.
Stop sharing your screen. No problem.
Thank you. Sir, can you see my screen?
We can see.
Hello?
Very small. Can you explain?
Can you see? Yes, sir. I am starting my presentation. Good afternoon to all dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, and to all my colleagues and classmates and students who are attending this presentation. It was a wonderful presentation from the beginning. My topic on the poster presentation is cognitive interpretation of rock art at Sitpa in Jharkhand. The word cognitive anthropology means that anything that's subfield in anthropology that focuses on the study of human cognition, particularly how culture and social factor influence thought, perceptions, and behavior. In the regard of cognitive archaeology, we study the ethnographic similarities with the thought process of human or specifically the early human to see the similarities between the culture and their thought processes. In regards to the rock art, we can divide the rock art in 3 different terms as found in the Sitpa rock art. One from a hunter-gathering period, which is 11,000 to 12,000 years ago. It was a picture that represents a goat or a sheep, which is specifically like to be drawn by the hunting gatherers because as their cognitive process is not as increased or not as complex as the complex structural social society of the present day or the early period of time, hunter-gatherers used to draw whatever they see in their nature, whatever they feel with their own eyes, they used to draw. Yeah. The next period is the agricultural period, which starts from the 10,000 years ago. In this picture, we can see a picture of a bull or a cow, which could hardly picture comes later of the Iron Age period, which has started in India from the early Vedic period of 1500 to 500 BCE. In this picture, we can see many different types of complex geometric pattern motif, which we can say that during this period, the society has developed to a far more extent than the hunter-gatherer and the agricultural period, which has led to the people's understanding of and increase their thought processes regarding the symbolic meaning and their interpretation. I have also presented some similarities that have been found in the village, where we can see the rock art has a similar design with the indigenous art that the people has drawn on their homes. There is this drawings have been passed from generations after generations in the society of that area. Beside the similarities, there is a graph that represents the total number of drawings in this 3 period. From the field which I have done and from the result that I have found it, during the agricultural period, that is not more than 7 to 8 drawings that have been found. From the hunter-gatherer period, it was much less, from 5 to 6. But more complex drawings have been found during the Iron Age period, which is above 45. The period that have been described or that have been differentiated from hunting gathering to agricultural to Iron Age, the period has been described in the book Prehistoric Rock Art by Wakankar. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So today we had some very interesting papers and we listened to everyone. We would have loved to give everyone more time, but it was not possible because of the paucity of time today.
But yes, as an anthropologist, I must say that the integration of history, anthropology, and archaeology is something that we need to foster and look forward to. I would especially want to thank Tani for bringing out such a wonderful paper where, as anthropologists, we used to call it the study of men when we started, and now it's somehow we call it the study of humans. And that, of course, includes women and children. So thank you for bringing out this wonderful paper to us today. And I would also like to mention here that a few of the students have talked about rock paintings and, how these have been still practiced and are being practiced by the community. So we need to look at the perspectives of, the local people who practice these arts even today, and they try to make them survive. And while studying the past, we also need to keep in mind the present scenario and how these can be survived, and how people's their work needs to be respected, and the sensitivity has to be looked into while researching the past as well. So I think this is all I have to say from my side. It was a wonderful session. I would have loved to hear from everyone more, but we have to conclude. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, ma'am. Now I would like to request Dr. P. Venkatramana to felicitate the chair of this session.
Just give me 1 second. Yeah, this is. I'm very my students. I watch.
I would request Dr. Suman Chakrabarti to come forward and felicitate the co-chair of this session.
I say, just
Now I would request everybody to move for lunch, and then we'll be having our valedictory session as well as a roundtable discussion in F3 seminar hall.